My beloved, this is not a moment you can overlook, delay, or push aside until it feels more comfortable. I am not simply whispering to get your attention anymore. I am calling with a voice that shakes everything that once felt stable in your life, because this moment demands a response that will shape the next season of your existence. You've asked me to intervene, to show you clearly, to speak louder than your confusion, and now I have. This message is not another encouraging word for a better tomorrow. It is the very crossroad where delay becomes danger. What you choose to do right now carries a weight heavier than you realize. This is the pivot point between breakthrough and breakdown, between going forward in purpose or slipping deeper into cycles you thought you'd already escaped. I have been patient through your fear. I have waited through your anxiety. But I am now standing in front of you with mercy in one hand and urgency in the other. Don't mistake my love for permission to delay. This is your moment of choice. This is the doorway that won't remain open forever. You've cried for change, longed for freedom, pleaded for a new chapter, and I've heard every cry. But now the answer is here, and it's asking you to move. Not when you feel ready. Not when others approve. Not when circumstances line up perfectly. But now. This response will either release the flood of what I've prepared for you or leave you stuck looking for signs while I already gave the final one. I am warning you out of love, not out of threat. But understand, my child, not choosing is still a choice, and heaven is waiting for yours. This moment will not repeat. I am drawing a line in the sand of your life, and I am saying, step forward. Everything you prayed for hinges on your courage to respond, not next week, not after one more sign, immediately. You didn't stumble on this message. You didn't accidentally land here. This is not a coincidence. It is a divinely scheduled moment crafted by my hand. Long before you opened your eyes this morning, I orchestrated this encounter with surgical precision. I've heard every quiet plea, every late-night whisper, and every silent tear that never made it past your pillow. You've asked me to speak, to show you something unmistakable, something so undeniable that it would silence your fears and cancel your doubts. This is the response you've been waiting for, not hidden in symbols or delayed in mysteries, but clear, direct, and timely. Right now, the air around you has changed. The atmosphere is heavy because heaven is leaning in. I have sent this message not only to catch your attention but to wake your spirit from dormancy. It's time to stop asking me for signs when I've already sent them. This one is unlike any other. This one isn't for confirmation, it's for activation. You cannot continue walking in circles, second-guessing the path when the light is shining directly before you. I've aligned people, conversations, disruptions, and divine moments to all converge into this sacred interruption. Don't ignore what's holy just because it doesn't come packaged in thunder and lightning. This moment, this exact second, is wrapped in my glory and saturated with my purpose. Everything you've endured has funneled into this invitation. And this sign, it's more than evidence, it's a command. You don't need another dream. You don't need another sign in the sky. You don't need another closed door or failed plan to validate that I'm speaking. This is it. The timing isn't convenient, but it is perfect. I do not operate on the calendar of your comfort. I move on the timeline of your calling. That's why this sign came when you felt weakest, because your strength is not the prerequisite for my purpose. Your willingness is. I know you've doubted yourself. I know your mind has questioned if you're ready, if you're worthy, if you're capable. But child, I'm not waiting for your perfection. I'm waiting for your surrender. This is not just a word, it's a turning point. You've been circling the same mountain too long. You've asked me for direction while ignoring the road marked by my fingerprints. The conversations that felt random, the doors that closed without reason, the things that fell apart unexpectedly, all of it pointed to this divine hour. You asked for alignment. This is alignment. You asked for timing. This is timing. You asked for confirmation. This is confirmation. And you must decide whether you'll respond to this moment with faith or shrink back into indecision. I cannot walk for you, but I have cleared the path. I cannot speak your yes, but I've anointed the moment. And now I wait not because I need anything from you, but because I love you enough to let you choose. I will not force you, but I will not stay silent either. This message is the echo of my voice shouting, move now. This is not a seed for next season. It's the harvest for now. You've waited long enough. You've questioned long enough. You've wondered long enough. And now I've answered. This is your sign, given with urgency, clothed in grace, and dripping with heaven's power. The only question left is, will you respond immediately, or miss what eternity just delivered to your doorstep? You mistook the waiting season as abandonment. You assumed that my silence meant rejection, but child, I was never dismissing your cry. I was preparing the fullness of what you could not yet carry. Every moment you spent wondering if I forgot you was actually me orchestrating the backdrop for this divine unveiling. The delay was never designed to harm you. It wasn't a punishment or a sign of disapproval. It was the rhythm of heaven unfolding in perfect order. I did not deny you. I protected you. I shielded you from things you couldn't see, forces you couldn't discern, and consequences you weren't yet prepared to handle. My delay was a womb where maturity was birthed. You were growing when you thought you were stuck. You were learning when you thought you were left behind. You were being refined in the dark, so you could emerge in the light with clarity, with wisdom, and with resilience that could withstand what's about to come. If I had given it to you when you asked, it would have destroyed you. But now, the hour has arrived. Now, the pieces have aligned. Now, the doors are not only opening, they are demanding your presence. You wondered why I kept you hidden. You didn't realize that hiddenness was my strategy. It wasn't rejection, it was protection. You had punishmented with positioning. And now, I've removed the veil. I've sounded the alarm. This is your release hour. Do not waste it trying to make sense of why it took so long. Instead, fix your eyes on what is unfolding in front of you with urgency and full obedience. What you thought was stagnation was actually synchronization, heaven aligning your path with people, places, and promises that are now ready for you to inhabit. You did miss the moment. You're standing in it. And it's fragile, not because it's unstable, but because it demands movement before it passes. Don't let overthinking sabotage this sacred now. Don't drown the instruction with unnecessary analysis. You don't need to ask if you're ready. I've declared that you are. You don't need to fear failing. I've gone before you and made the crooked places straight. This isn't the time to go back and replay old mistakes or relive what didn't work. It's not about it's about what's here. The timing has matured. The promise is ripe. The release is ringing. Everything you lost will make sense now. Everything you didn't understand will be revealed in the steps you take forward. I delayed not because I didn't love you, but because my love demanded perfect placement. The weight you endured has secured the weight you're about to carry. And now, this moment is evidence that nothing I do is random. This timing is not just correct, it's anointed. It's pregnant with movement, saturated with significance, and guarded by my angels. You have one assignment now. Move when I say move. Don't drag your feet. Don't negotiate with hesitation. Don't rehearse what ifs. Let go of needing every answer and grab hold of this truth. When I release the moment, you respond with trust. I am walking with you into what I've been preparing behind the scenes. This is not a test run. This is not rehearsal. This is the appointed hour where your obedience meets my orchestration, and the result will be miraculous. Respond not with fear, but with fire. The delay has lifted. The doors are open. The call is active. The time is now. Will you move with me, or will you miss what I aligned in perfect timing just for you? Everything I promised has been waiting, not for the right conditions, but for your surrender. Do you know that heaven has been holding its breath for your agreement? The hosts of glory have been standing in position, hands poised, waiting one thing: your yes. Not a hesitant yes. Not a conditional yes. But the kind of yes that unlocks what has been held back for generations. This is bigger than your personal dreams. This isn't about comfort or convenience. This is about divine alignment. What I have designed for you has always been ready, but I refused to give it before your heart matched the weight of what was coming. Child, what you don't see is that your obedience on earth activates blueprints already finalized in eternity. Right now, the alignment has begun. Doors that were bolted shut are being unlocked. People whose names you don't even know are being moved to make way for you. Conversations you're not a part of are shifting in your favor. Systems are bending. Timelines are accelerating. Resources are repositioning. All of it, every unseen thread is being interwoven into your path because your decision carries more authority than you understand. When you finally say yes, not just with your lips but with your actions, heaven and earth collide in movement. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a vessel of purpose. I have been waiting for you to rise and declare, I'm ready to go where you send me. That decision made in your heart, expressed in faith, and followed by action is what triggers a series of divine chain reactions that no power of darkness can stop. I have angels assigned to your yes. I have miracles scheduled according to your surrender. And now that you stand here, reading this very message in this appointed hour, the weight of your decision is not just spiritual, it is generational. This isn't only about your freedom. It's about the healing of wounds passed down through your family. It's about cycles being shattered. It's about legacies being rewritten. Your yes to me releases a ripple into dimensions you've never imagined. But hear me clearly, this moment requires more than passive agreement. This is not the time for delay, debate, or distraction. Your yes must be immediate, full, and bold. You can't dip your toe in destiny and expect the floodgates to open. You must step all the way in. Not when it feels safe. Not when everyone around you understands. But now, I am stirring the ground beneath your feet. I am causing the terrain of your life to shift in response to what you choose in the next breath. Even creation groans for my children to rise up in faith, and now, the earth is waiting for your next move. Time is not the same anymore. What once took years will now take days. But it hinges on one thing: your decision. You waited for me to act. But now, I'm waiting for you to obey. This is not pressure, it's partnership. This is not burden, it's breakthrough. I will not force you, but I will not remove the weight of this moment either. You've been praying for release, for clarity, for purpose. I've been preparing alignment, favor, and provision. Now, they meet at this intersection. And heaven has already said yes. Will earth hear your echo? Will you partner with what I've already set in motion? Will you step out before every answer is clear? Because the signs won't make sense until after the steps are taken. But trust me, I've already gone before you. Your yes doesn't make you brave, it makes you available. And I can do more with your availability than you could ever do with your fear. So I ask again, not as a suggestion, but as a divine summons. Will you say yes now and let all of creation respond to your obedience? You've been wondering why your spirit has been so restless, why your heart beats faster when you hear certain words, why you can't shake this heaviness that doesn't feel like fear but like fire. It's not anxiety. It's not emotional confusion. It's me. I place that fire inside you to wake you up from the numbness of routine. That stirring you've been sensing, the internal pull that keeps tugging at your chest, that persistent feeling that something is shifting, child, that's not your imagination. That's my spirit. You asked for confirmation, and then I made it rise within your own being. I didn't send this moment to push you, I sent it to awaken what I already planted inside you. The unease you feel isn't punishment, it's prophecy in motion. You are feeling the pressure of heaven pressing on the walls of your destiny, urging you to break out of complacency. You're not being unsettled because something is wrong. You're being activated because something is right. And you feel it deep in your bones that this moment carries weight. That's not coincidence. It's spiritual recognition. Your spirit is responding to my call. It's rising because your assignment is no longer sleeping. I've stirred the waters of your soul so that you cannot go back to what once comforted you. You're too alert now to pretend you didn't notice. You can't silence what I've awakened. You can't run from what I've ignited. My presence has marked you, and when I mark something, it can never be ordinary again. That's why you felt disconnected from old places, old patterns, old people. That's why familiar things now feel foreign. You're no longer in alignment with who you used to be, because your soul is stepping toward where I've called you next. I've deposited a knowing inside you, a knowing that whispers louder than external voices, a knowing that defies logic, a knowing that commands movement even when you don't understand every detail. That's me. That's the sign you begged for. I didn't just give you evidence around you, I placed it within you. That's why it won't leave you alone. That's why you keep circling back to this moment. That's why the fire keeps returning even when you try to smother it with distractions. I'm not letting you settle because you weren't created to live below your calling. This inner urgency is the alarm clock of heaven. You can hit snooze, but you can't shut it off. Because I'm not speaking to your emotions, I'm speaking to your spirit. And your spirit knows this is real. It knows the timing is divine. It knows the prompting is precise. So now you must decide whether you'll trust what I've placed within you or cling to what's fading around you. That stirring isn't going to vanish, it's going to intensify until you yield. Because I don't send warnings without purpose, and I don't stir hearts without direction. If you move now, you'll walk in step with heaven's rhythm. If you hesitate, the noise of the world will try to numb what I've spoken. But child, the window is narrow. I am not being dramatic, I am being clear. The shaking inside of you is the sound of chains preparing to break. The fluttering in your chest is the flutter of angelic wings preparing to carry your obedience into places you never imagined. Don't downplay it. Don't rationalize it. Don't bury it under the illusion of needing more proof. You feel what you feel for a reason. I've wired your heart to detect my signals. This is my voice inside you, urging you to rise, to shift, to say yes not tomorrow, but this very instant. And the longer you delay, the heavier the burden becomes. You can't escape your calling, you can only postpone your freedom. Let this moment become the turning point where you no longer ignore what's been screaming from the inside out. Let this be the moment you finally say, I feel the fire, and I'm ready to follow it. You've stared at so many shut doors, wondering if I had forgotten your address. You've knocked, waited, pleaded, and cried when opportunities collapsed right in front of you. What you didn't know then but must understand now is that those closures weren't failures. They were divine interventions. I was never punishing you when I said no. I was preserving you for something more sacred, something that couldn't be rushed or distorted by wrong timing or misplaced expectations. Every time you were denied, I was building a path for something that would not collapse under the weight of your destiny. Those rejections shaped you. They deepened your discernment, refined your expectations, and carved out space inside your heart for something more eternal than temporary satisfaction. I closed the doors you begged me to open, not because I didn't care, but because I cared too much to let you walk into places that would shrink your soul. And now, here it is, the open command. This is not a door you knocked on, this is the one I opened by my authority. This is not a gate you manipulated your way into, it's one I've commanded to lift for your entrance. I've kept this opportunity hidden until your spirit could handle the magnitude of what lies beyond it. But now, the seal is broken. The latch is released. A way is made. I'm not asking you to knock anymore. I'm telling you to step forward. Not out of ambition, not out of panic, but out of obedience. You no longer need to question if this is from me. This is what I prepared you for while you wept in confusion. This is what I had in mind when doors slammed shut that didn't make sense. Those moments were rehearsals. They were meant to teach you to trust me, even when everything around you said otherwise. They were not setbacks. They were strategies. And this door, this current moment, is the result of accumulated prayers, tears, fasting, and perseverance. You waited long enough. You've endured the training. Now the test is here, and your only task is to walk through what I've already opened. But don't delay. The window is open, but it won't stay forever. Doors of destiny are timed by eternal calendars, and hesitation can cost what prayer once secured. The access I'm giving you now isn't just for you, it's connected to many lives that hinge on your faithfulness. There are generations that will benefit from your decision to step through. This is not an ordinary door. This is the one your spirit hath been waiting to recognize. You'll feel it in your feet. You'll sense the shift in your spirit. There will be a knowing, not born of emotion but of divine insight, that says, "This is it." I am not offering options, I am extending an invitation. And behind this threshold is breakthrough you never saw coming. Behind this open command is the answer to questions you stopped asking. The things you assumed were delayed forever are sitting right behind this access point, waiting to be touched by your movement. But the door requires something from you: faith in motion. You cannot enter it by dreaming. You must step. You must move past comfort. You must act while it's open, not when it's convenient. This door isn't here to impress you, it's here to release you. And your obedience will activate what no human hand could arrange. Walk forward, not with trembling but with trust. My grace has already gone ahead of you. Way has been cleared. The enemy cannot block what I have unsealed. Now all that remains is one question: will you step into the open command, or stand outside another moment while heaven waits on your movement? You assumed I wasn't speaking. You believed my silence meant absence. But child, my quiet seasons are never empty, they are always loaded with strategy. While you were listening for thunder, I was moving in whispers. While you looked for signs in the sky, I was working in the soil beneath your feet, cultivating roots you didn't even know you had. The season where you felt ignored was actually the ground where your next chapter was being written. I wasn't absent, I was deliberate. I wasn't distant, I was designing. I allowed the silence because your ears needed to unlearn the noise of the world to recognize my frequency. You didn't know it at the time, but what seemed like abandonment was really alignment. You weren't being overlooked, you were being hidden in a holy place where your identity could not be tampered with, where your foundation could be reinforced without external interference. I silenced the distractions so I could strengthen the depth of your calling. In that silence, I dismantled your dependency on applause. In that stillness, I trained your spirit to recognize my presence without needing outward affirmation. I let everything fall quiet, not to scare you but to prepare you for what I was forming in secret. What I was building in the silence is louder than anything you've ever heard. And now, what I constructed in secret is ready to be revealed in power. Your breakthrough isn't coming with noise, it's coming with force. It's not entering with drama, it's arriving with purpose. What I whispered to you in hiddenness is about to echo through places you were once denied entrance to. The silence made you question if I was still moving, but now you'll see I was doing more than you could have imagined. The delay was divine timing wrapped in mystery. And that void you felt, it was never empty, it was sacred space, making room for the next dimension of your life. You don't understand yet how much I protected you by staying silent. There were things you would have rushed into had I answered too quickly. There were doors you would have run through if I didn't pause your momentum. I let you wrestle with the silence because I needed you to know me beyond the miracles. I needed you to discover that I was enough even when I said nothing. That kind of faith can't be taught in abundance. It's only forged in the unseen. And now that the refining is done, now that your trust is no longer dependent on constant reassurance, I can entrust you with what's coming. And it will be louder than you imagined. Doors will open without a knock. Favor will find you before you ask. Provision will chase you down, and confirmations will appear faster than your doubts can argue. You'll realize this was never about punishment, it was about placement. And now you're positioned. The silence has done its work. The training is complete. Your ears are tuned. Your spirit is alert. And your heart is no longer fragile. The breakthrough that's arriving now will not only bless you, it will transform you. It will validate the whispers you held onto when no one else understood. It will amplify the prayers you almost stopped praying. And when it happens, you'll look back and thank me for not answering too soon. Because now, you know the value of the stillness, Now, you recognize the sound of my voice even when I'm not speaking in volume. You matured. You've grown. And now you're ready. So don't resent the silence, honor it. It prepared the runway for what I'm launching. Get ready. The silence is breaking, and what's coming next is not just an answer, it's a declaration. The silence was never me being absent, it was me preparing the kind of breakthrough that speaks for itself. You've prayed long and hard for this moment. You've wept into your hands, begged me in silence, whispered your hopes into the night, and carried dreams no one knew about. And now finally those hidden prayers have reached their appointed hour. You are standing right at the edge of the very thing you once thought would never come. The ground beneath your feet is holy, not because of where you are, but because of what's being released through this alignment. What was once impossible is now present. What you believed was out of reach is standing before you, extending an invitation. And yet, just as it arrives, I see fear creeping into your heart. I see hesitation trying to masquerade as wisdom. I see the trembling in your spirit, not from reverence but from doubt. But hear me clearly, fear has no place here. You did not come this far to freeze at the finish line. You did not endure the wilderness only to retreat when the river parts. This is not the time to second-guess what you were born for. Fear is a liar, and its goal is to make you forget everything I've shown you when the pressure rises. But my voice speaks louder than your worries. I am standing beside you, not as a distant force, but as the same God who brought you through fire and storm. This next step might feel overwhelming, but it is ordained. What you are stepping into is not unfamiliar to me. I wrote it into your story before you took your first breath. And now that the moment has arrived, fear is trying to convince you that you're still the same person you were when you first asked. But you're not. You change. You've grown. You've been refined. You've gained the spiritual weight to carry what I'm about to give. But fear wants you to believe that you'll fumble it, that you'll fall apart, that you'll fail me. Those are lies straight from the enemy's mouth. You were not placed here by chance. You were positioned by purpose. You didn't stumble into this season, it was constructed specifically for you. Do you think I would go through all the trouble of shaping you in secret, pruning you in pain, and speaking to you in silence just to watch you quit when it matters most? Never. I've invested too much in your process. I've carried you too far to leave you standing here with a mind full of what-ifs. And the truth is, fear is powerless when confronted with obedience. You don't have to feel fearless to move, you only have to trust me enough to take the step anyway. That step, however shaky, will shatter strongholds that have followed you for years. That decision, no matter how small it seems, will activate blessings that were sealed until now. If you let fear speak louder than my word, you'll miss what was assigned to this moment. Don't trade the promise for the illusion of safety. Don't protect your comfort zone while forfeiting your calling. I am walking with you into this unfamiliar territory, and my presence is your guarantee. You will not collapse. You will not break. You will not be forsaken. You will rise not in your strength, but in mine. You will take hold of what you once only dreamed of. This is not a trap. It's not a test. It's fulfillment. You're standing at the gateway of answered prayers, and all of heaven is leaning in to see how you will respond. Step forward, even if your voice trembles. Move, even if your hands shake. Trust, even if your knees buckle. I have not brought you this far to leave you staring at the blessing from a distance. I brought you to this edge so you would cross over and claim what's been waiting for your yes. You wondered why everything became unclear, why nothing made sense anymore, why the direction you were once confident in suddenly became fogged with uncertainty. You asked me why clarity disappeared, why your plans unraveled, why everything stable in your life began to shift like sand under your feet. You questioned my involvement, unsure whether it was the enemy attacking or your own decisions backfiring. But child, it was me. I allowed the confusion, not to punish you, but to protect you. I disrupted what was familiar so you would stop leaning on what was fragile. I confused your plans to prepare your heart. I interrupted your rhythm to realign your vision. Because if I had allowed you to proceed the way you were going, you would have settled for what looked secure but lacked divine substance. You were relying on what you thought you understood, and I needed to empty that cup so I could fill it with my direction. I do not cause chaos, but I do use it to strip away every false foundation. And in that season of disorientation, I was not silent, I was resetting everything. The confusion wasn't the absence of my voice. It was a transition from your ideas to my instructions. You were too familiar with routine, too anchored to your own logic, and I had to pull your heart out of autopilot. I had to close in every direction until the only voice you could depend on was mine. And now, as things begin to make sense, you're realizing it wasn't confusion, it was preparation. I used the uncertainty to draw you into deeper dependence. I used the unknown to increase your sensitivity. You don't hear me the same way you used to, because now you're listening with reverence. Now you pause instead of rushing. Now you lean in instead of assuming. That's what I needed to awaken in you. Not just obedience but awareness. Not just movement but discernment. And look at you now, your spirit is alert, your posture is surrendered. Your eyes are open. You're no longer chasing what looks right, you're responding to what feels divine. A shift didn't come from ease. It came from the pressure I permitted. And now, standing in this moment, you see that the confusion was actually a divine rerouting. I didn't want you wandering aimlessly, I wanted you walking intentionally. And sometimes, I must let the map burn so you'll ask for my hand. Sometimes, I must allow everything to break so you will stop rebuilding what I never asked you to construct. The confusion pulled you out of your comfort. It made you search again. It forced you to pray with sincerity, not out of habit. It taught you to sit in silence and wait for my whisper instead of manufacturing noise to drown out the discomfort. And that discomfort birthed something holy in you. It birthed humility. It birthed faith. It birthed a hunger to know me, not just my blessings. That's why I allowed it. Not to harm you but to align you. You are more focused now than you've ever been, not on achievements, not on perfection, but on me. And that is the exact focus I need you to carry into what's coming next. Because where I'm taking you, clarity won't always precede obedience. You'll have to move before you fully understand. You'll have to trust me while your surroundings remain uncertain. And now, you're finally ready for that. You've been conditioned by my hand, prepared through my silence, and made sharp through what you once called confusion. What was fog then is fire now. What was unclear then is divine vision today. And it's that sharpened focus I want you to carry into this next decision. So don't resist what jug you to wake you. Don't fear the mystery, it prepared you for revelation. Don't regret the confusion, it was the very tool I used to open your eyes. Now walk forward with precision, because the moment is here and your focus has finally caught up with your purpose. There were moments you didn't speak of. Moments when the weight was so heavy, you questioned whether you'd ever breathe freely again. You were not just discouraged, you were under attack. The enemy saw your potential before you did. He studied your patterns, traced your weaknesses, and launched assaults that were tailored to your identity because he feared what you would become. He tried to convince you that your struggle was proof of your failure, that the delays meant disqualification, that the pain was a verdict and not a process. But while he was digging your grave in silence, I was writing your victory in secret. He wanted to bury you in regret, drown you in shame, and suffocate your voice beneath the lies of unworthiness. And still, you survived. Still, you stood up. Not because you were strong enough, but because I refused to let him have the final word. What he meant for destruction, I flipped for development. Every time he whispered that it was over, I countered with another breath in your lungs. Every time he tried to silence you with shame, I wrote new songs in your spirit. Every accusation he hurled became the very material I used to build your testimony. And now, this sign, this moment you are standing in is not just a signal of direction. It's a trumpet, a declaration, a public announcement from heaven that what was meant to destroy you has instead crowned you with divine resilience. This sign isn't a gentle nudge, it's a trumpet blast that shakes the very atmosphere around you. It wakes off fear. It silences doubt. It rattles the enemy's grip and alerts every principality that my child has risen with authority. You are not emerging quietly. You are rising with knowledge, with evidence, with undeniable proof that grace is greater than the grave. Let me make it clear, this isn't your comeback, this is your confirmation. What tried to bury you didn't win. What tried to define you has no authority here. I have overturned the verdict, and I've used what was meant to be your ending as a platform for your next beginning. The sign I'm placing before you today isn't a suggestion, it's a trumpet that commands movement. It calls out destiny from the ashes. It pulls purpose out of the pit. It summons vision from the valley. You don't need to wonder if this is real, it's undeniable. The same forces that pushed against you are now watching as I elevate you. I didn't bring you through all that resistance just so you could blend in. I let the enemy exhaust himself trying to defeat you because I knew he never could. And now, your very existence in this moment is my shout across the heavens that what I start, I finish. You are not walking into this season as a survivor, you are walking in as a sign. A sign that I am faithful. A sign that I restore. A sign that no force of darkness can cancel a child who is marked by my covenant. Your scars are no longer signs of defeat, they are seals of proof that you've passed through the fire and came out with my glory upon you. So don't be ashamed of what you went through. Let it roar through you as the very sound that defeats darkness. This is your trumpet. Let your life make the announcement. Let your yes resound louder than every no the enemy threw at you. You've been hidden long enough. You've been surviving long enough. Now it's time to live boldly. This trumpet isn't calling you back, it's calling you forward. It's echoing through the heavens and declaring that you are not buried, you've been planted. And what I plant, I raise with power. Enough. I've watched you stall at the edge of your assignment, paralyzed not by lack of ability, but by the excuses you've convinced yourself were valid. I've seen you circle the same decisions, talk yourself out of obedience, and delay what I've made clear, all while telling yourself you're just being careful. But the truth is, you haven't been waiting on me. I've been waiting on you. And now, I'm removing the crutches you've leaned on. Amons disguised as reasons, wrapped in fear, soaked in self-doubt built from past disappointment. Those excuses you've called timing were often just hesitation dressed up in spiritual language. I know what you've told yourself. That you need more clarity. That you're not ready. That you're too broken, too inexperienced, too unknown. You said you need to heal more. No more. Have more support. But none of those requirements came from me. They came from your fear of failure, your memory of pain, your obsession with control. You've allowed wounds to dictate your timing, and I'm severing that now. Because the longer you feed your excuses, the more they consume your destiny. I never needed you to have everything together. I just needed your surrender. I never required your perfection, only your willingness. But still, you delayed, waiting for confirmation after confirmation, as if my first instruction wasn't enough. I've been merciful, but the hour for hesitation is gone. What's ahead demands your full yes, not your half-hearted commitment, not your bargain-driven obedience, not your maybe later. I'm pulling you out of neutral. I'm confronting the places where you've made delay feel like discernment. And I'm making it plain. Every excuse is being dismantled, not because I'm angry, but because I love you too much to let you shrink into a smaller story than the one I wrote for you. You've prayed for activation. You've begged for purpose. You've cried out for signs. And yet, when I handed you the very thing you asked for, you paused to assess its safety. But child, purpose is never safe, it's sacred. Obedience won't always feel comfortable. In fact, most of the time it won't. But what it will be is covered, anointed, carry, and that's all you need. You're not walking into this alone. I am with you, not in theory, not in concept, but in every breath and every step. The obstacles you fear have already been overturned. The resistance you imagine is powerless against my favor. The enemies that you think will rise have already been silenced. You keep asking, but what if I'm wrong? And I keep responding, what if you're right, and this is the moment everything shifts? You won't get the full picture standing still. Some clarity only comes through motion. Some miracles only meet you in movement. And that's what I'm requiring now, movement. I'm removing the excuses, not so you feel exposed, but so you'll finally recognize how much I've prepared you. You're not ill-equipped. You're not unworthy. You're not late. You are exactly where I need you to be, and all I'm asking is for you to respond. No more stalling behind insecurities. No more consulting every voice but mine. No more delaying your yes until every box is checked. You weren't created for a life of calculated survival, you were made for spirit-led surrender. That's what I'm calling you into now. That's what this sign is about. This moment isn't demanding that you be extraordinary, it's demanding that you be available. I'll supply what you think you lack. I'll fill in the gaps you can't see. But I won't force your movement. I've done my part. I've placed everything you need on the table. And now I'm watching what you do with it. The season of excuses is over. I'm clearing the fog. I'm silencing the noise. I'm putting power back in your hands. You don't need more permission, you need to walk in what I've already said. Now move. Pause. Pay attention. Do you feel it? The atmosphere has shifted, not subtly, but tangibly. Something you can't explain in words is now resting over you, pressing on your spirit like a weight that doesn't crush, but awakens. That's not coincidence. That's not emotion. That's not imagination. That's my spirit, moving in your space, filling every corner of the room you're in, surrounding you with a presence so thick that it silences every distraction. This isn't like before. You felt my presence before in passing moments on mountaintops, in worship, in fleeting seconds of clarity. But this moment is different. This is not a visitation, it's a manifestation. I've come close, not to watch, but to work. I'm not standing at a distance, I'm moving among the very details of your life, rearranging, rebuilding, resurrecting what you thought was permanently buried. My spirit isn't just near you. It's surrounding you, consuming everything that's tried to break you. You can sense it, the heat in your chest, the tears you can't explain, the sudden stillness that makes everything else feel irrelevant. I'm not trying to impress you, I'm trying to possess what you've been withholding. I've entered your atmosphere because this is the moment I've appointed for exchange. I'm offering beauty for ashes, strength for weakness, purpose for pain. But you must respond. You can't just sit still in my presence and expect your life to change by osmosis. This is sacred ground now. This is where the shift begins. You've been asking for me to show up, and here I am, not in thunder, not in fire, but in the still power that fills a room and quiets every voice of chaos. My spirit moves with intention, not emotion. I didn't arrive just to make you feel something. I came to break something off of you. Chains are being weakened in this very moment. Lies are losing their grit. Cycles are unraveling. And you sense it, don't you? That inner trembling isn't fear, it's your soul recognizing its true environment. You were made to carry this presence. You were never meant to live dry, distant, or disconnected. That longing you feel right now is evidence that your spirit has found its source again. But don't just feel this, follow it. Don't just encounter this, engage it. I'm not here to brush past you like a breeze, I've come to rest on you like a mantle. This is a marking moment. This is where the old ends and the new ignites. You've cried for this fire. You've waited for this wind. You've hungered for this level of closeness. But now that I'm here, you must yield. Don't overthink it. Don't resist it. Don't delay it. Let the walls down. Let your pride fall. Let the fear go. My spirit will not be boxed by your logic. It will not be scheduled by your convenience. I move when I choose, and today I have chosen you. Your room is now my sanctuary. Your heart is now my altar. I'm not speaking through your phone, I'm speaking directly into the depths of your spirit, right here, right now. Don't wait for a church service or a special worship moment, this is holy ground. I'm closer than your breath. And I've come not only to speak but to stay. But whether my spirit remains or simply passes through depends on your response. Don't settle for a momentary encounter when I'm offering permanent habitation. Invite me in with every fiber of your being. Welcome me, not with your lips but with your surrender. Don't ask me to come and then resist when I begin to cleanse. Let me purify the thoughts you hide. Let me consume the things you've tried to fix on your own. My presence is peace. My presence is clarity. My presence is power. And right now, I am offering you all three. So breathe, child. Listen. Feel. Respond. Because what's happening in this very moment is the beginning of the move you've been praying for, and my spirit will not leave until it finishes what it came to start. You were about to delay again. You were on the edge of convincing yourself that maybe now isn't the right time, that maybe you misunderstood me, that maybe you need a little more certainty before you move. But I will not allow you to spiral back into that cycle again, not this time. That's why this word has come now, not later, not casually, but suddenly and with force. I've inserted this moment into your life like a divine interruption. It's not meant to comfort you in delay, it's meant to break the pattern of pausing when I'm calling you to move. You've waited long enough, not because you lacked instructions, but because fear disguised itself as wisdom and comfort presented itself as peace. But what I'm doing now is not peaceful to your flesh, it is unsettling to your normal. It's a holy disruption to the rhythm that's kept you confined. I've interrupted your scrolling, your thoughts, your plans, your routines because I am done letting you live below the level of authority I've placed inside you. This word isn't gentle background noise, it's a holy siren sounding in your spirit. I am calling you out from indecision. I am disrupting the endless internal debates that keep you circling instead of stepping. And if this message feels strong, it's because the stakes are high. This is not about pressure, it's about purpose. If you knew what I had positioned on the other side of your surrender, you would leap without delay. But even now, I am not asking you to see the whole map. I am simply asking you to obey the turn. That pause in your spirit you've been wrestling with. It's not confusion. It's me. It's me pressing gently but firmly, saying, don't wait. Don't look back. I've timed this word to collide with your exact moment of hesitation so that you can no longer use uncertainty as a reason to stay stagnant. You've told yourself you're waiting on clarity, but I've already spoken. You've told yourself you're waiting on peace, but peace is found in obedience, not in comfort. You've even said you're waiting on me, but child, I've been ready. I've been in motion. I've been preparing everything around you for your arrival. But I cannot release the fullness until you step into the flow. And that's why I've sent this word not to inform you, but to wake you. To stir your spirit so deeply that hesitation can no longer survive in your atmosphere. This interruption is not a distraction, it's an invitation. It's your moment of divine decision. You can no longer pretend you didn't hear me. You can no longer claim you didn't know. I made it clear. I've made it loud. I've made it unmistakable. And the reason it hits so deeply is because your spirit knows it's true. You can feel the alignment in your chest, the conviction that pierces even the walls you've built to stay safe. I'm not here to negotiate. I'm here to lead. And leading requires movement. My grace will always cover you, but grace does not excuse perpetual delay. Grace empowers courageous obedience. And that's what I'm calling forth right now. I don't want another promise from your lips, I want motion from your life. I don't need another I'm praying about it, I need a response. You prayed for a sign. I'm giving you a command. You asked for confirmation. I'm issuing direction. This is not a drill. This is not theory. This is the holy collision between your yes and my plan. And if you'll allow this interruption to become the pivot point, you will look back on this day not with regret, but with tears of gratitude. Because you will remember this as the moment you stopped shrinking, the moment you stopped wondering, the moment you finally moved. So let the interruption do its work, because it's not meant to slow you down. It's meant to launch you forward. You cannot afford to hesitate any longer. What stands in front of you is not just another opportunity, it is a miracle wrapped in instruction. You've been praying for breakthrough, asking for abundance, longing for divine acceleration. But now that the moment has come, your delay threatens to forfeit what was designed for immediate activation. I am not withholding the miracle. I am waiting for your obedience to unlock it. This is not about hurting your blessing, it's about aligning with my timing. Every miracle I release requires movement. The water didn't part until their feet touched it. The oil didn't multiply until it went pour. The walls didn't fall until the shout was given. There is always a moment when the supernatural is held behind the veil of action, waiting to be accessed by faith that moves. And this is that moment for you. I know you feel the tension. You sense the weight of what's at stake, and you're right to feel it. Because I don't waste words. I don't send urgent messages without reason. I speak with intention, and right now my voice is calling you out of neutral and into the current of overflow. But I won't drag you into your blessing. I invite you. I instruct you. And I wait to see what you'll do. Delay may seem small in your mind, a few days of thinking, a bit more processing, a safer timeline, but in the spirit realm, delay is dangerous. It creates gaps the enemy loves to fill. It gives room for fear to speak louder than faith. And it places distance between you and the door that I just opened. You cannot afford to linger on the edge of obedience. The miracle is time-sensitive. I've prepared provision, favor, healing, breakthrough, but it is positioned for now, not for when you feel ready. Obedience is not about comfort, it's about trust. It's about stepping even when you don't see what's beneath your feet. It's about responding not because it all makes sense, but because my voice has spoken. You've waited long enough. You've planned. You've fasted. You've studied. But now is the moment to activate. And it won't be your talent that triggers the miracle. It won't be your perfection. It won't be your preparation. It will be your obedience. Simple. Immediate. Unshaken. That's the key that unlocks the floodgates I've been holding back for you. Heaven is ready. The storehouses are full. The overflow has been released, and it's looking for your response. But I will not pour oil into a sealed vessel. You must be open. You must be moving. You must respond. What I've prepared is bigger than your current mindset can even contain. That's why I'm calling you to trust me beyond logic. I'm not asking you to understand, I'm asking you to act. Because what I'm about to release through your obedience will not only change your life, it will ripple into others. Your miracle is connected to more than just you. It's tied to assignments you haven't met yet, doors you haven't seen yet, people you haven't helped yet. Your yes is the ignition. And if you hold it back, you hold back the release I've timed for such a time as this. Don't let the voice of hesitation sabotage what I've already finished. Don't let reasoning rob you of the reward that only action can access. This is the moment where heaven watches. This is the moment where the windows are unlocked. This is the moment where your move determine the momentum. I'm not rushing you, I'm revealing that it's already ready. You're not behind, you're on the brink. And if you will obey now, you will watch me pour out what eyes haven't seen, what ears haven't heard, and what hearts couldn't predict. But the miracle is waiting not for me to say more, but for you to do what I've already spoken. So move. Move now. And step into the overflow that's been waiting for your obedience to arrive. What's coming isn't generic. It's not random or recycled. It's personal. Custom crafted by my hands. The breakthrough I'm bringing forth isn't something I pulled from the leftovers, it was prepared with your name on it before you ever cried out for it. While you were busy wondering if I even saw you, I was engraving your name onto the blessing I've kept hidden for this precise moment. Not just a breakthrough you benefit from, but one that was designed to reflect my faithfulness in your life. This is not something you have to fight to claim. It's already yours. It doesn't belong to someone else. It's not assigned to the person more qualified or more noticed. It's yours, and no one else can carry it. I've marked it. I've reserved it. I've protected it. And now, I'm revealing it not with mystery, but with clarity. I'm uncovering what has been concealed not because you demanded it, but because you are finally positioned to carry it with the right heart. You see, I never said no. I said not yet, because your heart needed to mature. Your vision needed to stretch. Your faith needed to deepen. Now it has. Now you can hold what would have cried you before. Now you can walk in what would have distracted you earlier. And because you endured the preparation season, I'm placing what is already yours into your hands not just to bless you, but to reveal me through you. This breakthrough is personal, not just because it carries your name, but because it carries your story. It's the fruit of your midnight prayers, your silent battles, your hidden tears. You didn't shout to be seen, but I saw you. You didn't chase attention, but my eyes never left you. And now, I'm proving that I never forgot your name. I never skipped over your petition. I never lost track of what you asked. I've kept record not to hold it over your head, but to fulfill it with precision. You didn't have to beg me. You just had to trust me. And now, that trust is bearing fruit. You feel the stirring inside of you because your spirit senses the shift. The moment you thought would never come is here, and it has your name written across it in heavily ink. It's your time not because of performance, but because of promise. This breakthrough isn't arriving by accident. It was birthed by alignment. And that alignment has finally settled into place. The question isn't whether I'm ready to release it, the question is whether you're ready to receive it without doubt, without apology, and without shrinking back into false humility. I didn't engrave your name on this to watch you walk away from it. I marked it so you'd recognize that it belongs to no one else. The breakthrough is not just something I'm placing in your hands, it's something I'm igniting through your life. You are stepping into a fulfillment moment. And in this moment, I need you to understand. You don't have to chase what is chasing you. You don't have to prove yourself worthy. You don't have to compare your story to anyone else's. Your name is enough. The obedience that brought you here is enough. The trust you held when no one else understood is enough. The cost you paid in silence is enough. And because you remained faithful when no one was watching, I am rewarding you openly. This is more than a reward, it's a revelation. It's a public display of what I've been doing in secret all along. So don't shrink back. Don't downplay it. Don't disqualify yourself from what I've already confirmed. This breakthrough is attached to your identity, not your effort. And it is about to speak louder than every lie you've ever battled. So lift your eyes. Clear your heart. Take a breath. Because I'm holding it out before you now, not as a maybe, not as a possibility, but as a reality. This is yours. I wrote your name on it. Now take hold of it like someone who finally realizes the waiting season is over. You've asked and asked. You've pleaded with me to speak again, to show you one more sign, to make it clearer, to confirm it one more time. But child, I've already answered. You're not confused, you're cautious. You're not lacking direction, you're hesitating to trust what you already know I've said. You've been waiting for another word, another moment, another feeling, but I'm telling you now, the wait for clarity is over. I've made it clear. I've confirmed it in my word, through your dreams, through conversations, even through disruptions that shook your normal and made you uncomfortable. That wasn't confusion. That was gradation. That was direction. That was me. And now, I'm saying this with love but with finality. Stop asking for more signs when I've already spoken in so many ways. This is the moment I've been leading you to. And to ask again is not faith, it's delayed rest as indecision. I'm not angry. I'm not distant. But I am serious. You've been given enough. You've seen enough. You've heard enough. The nudges you felt in your spirit, the verses that echoed louder than usual, the moments that left you with tears without knowing why, all of those were my voice. And deep down, you know it. You don't need another confirmation. You need courage to follow what I've already confirmed. What more do you want me to do? Write it in the sky. Etch it in stone. You've already received the evidence, but your flesh is asking for more reassurance because fear wants to delay your destiny. But the more you ask, the more you stall. And the more you stall, the more you risk missing the timing I've prepared. I am patient, but I am also purposeful. This moment has been crafted with precision. You've arrived here not by chance but by design. And I will not keep repeating myself when I've already marked this as your instruction point. This is the open door. This is the window of movement. This is the answer to the one you've whispered for so long. You don't need to pray for a signal. I'm the one who sent the messenger, stirred the vision, and aligned the circumstance. You've been given confirmation in every form, in conviction, in silence that taught you to listen more carefully, in discomfort that pushed you toward transformation. And now, this word isn't a new answer, it's the reminder that your answer already came. This message is a gentle but firm tap on the shoulder that says, move now, because asking again will only feed the lie that you didn't hear me the first time. You did hear me. You just didn't expect me to speak this clearly. And that's what's made you nervous. You thought I would delay, but I didn't. You thought you needed more time, but I knew you were ready. And now that the moment has arrived, I'm not allowing you to circle this mountain again. I'm calling you to move forward without turning back. Stop seeking confirmation and start walking in the conviction you already carry. My sheep know my voice, and you've heard it. It shook you. It awakened you. It shifted something in you that you couldn't ignore. That's how you know it was me. You don't need 10 more signs, you need one bold step. I'm not hidden. I've revealed myself in more ways than you even realize. This is the point where your obedience must replace your questioning. This is the point where you let faith be louder than fear. So let go of the excuse that you're unsure. You're not unsure. You're just uncomfortable with the size of the calling. But that's exactly why I chose you, because you wouldn't try to do it in your own strength. Now take the step. Tomorrow. Not after you ask again. Out. Because this moment right here, right now, is the answer you once begged me to send. Don't insult the miracle by asking again. Step into it and watch what I've already prepared begin to unfold. You are standing in a divine acceleration, and time is no longer moving at the same pace. Heaven's agenda is advancing. The earth is groaning. The season has shifted, and I will not allow you to stay behind just because you're still trying to feel ready. What I've released is not waiting for your convenience, it's moving according to my calendar. I have been gracious to prepare you, patient as you wrestled, tender in your process, but now the hour demands urgency. You cannot remain wrapped in comfort while I'm calling you into the deep. You cannot cling to the familiar while I'm pulling you into the miraculous. This move is not designed to fit within your old systems. It was never meant to align with your logic. It was meant to stretch you, to move you, to elevate you beyond everything you've known. You can no longer say, "Let me adjust," or "Let me settle this first." You've been adjusting long enough. You've been settling and preparing and organizing and waiting. But what I'm doing now won't wait for you to feel qualified. It's already in motion, and I'm inviting you to step into it before the wave passes you by. I am doing a quick work, not rushed, not sloppy, but swift and exact. And if you try to delay it for the sake of comfort, you will miss what can only be caught when you move with the wind of my spirit. You've said, "I just need more peace." But peace won't always feel like still waters. Sometimes, peace is found in the obedience that leads you into uncharted territory. Your comfort zone has become your hiding place, and I'm tearing it down not to harm you, but to rebuild you in a space that can hold your next assignment. You can't bring your old mindset into this new movement. It will collapse under the weight of what I'm placing in your hands. And that's why I'm urging you to come now, as you are. Not polished, not perfect, not even fully certain, just willing. Just available. I'll supply the strength. I'll sustain the journey. but I cannot pour what's new into a vessel that refuses to move. Don't cling to what makes you feel safe when I'm trying to show you what it means to be truly secure. Your security isn't in the systems you built. It's not in the people who supported you. It's not in the plan you created. It's in me. And when you trust me fully, you'll understand that the discomfort is not an enemy, it's a sign you're stepping into destiny. What's coming requires a version of you that hasn't existed before. It requires the version that says yes even when it's trembling. It requires the version that leaves behind everything that's comfortable but incompatible with the calling. You've prayed for more, but more doesn't live in safety. More lives in surrender. And surrender means letting go of everything that makes you feel in control. This is the line in the sand. You can either stay in the shallows, where it's predictable and small, or you can step out into the waves where your miracle has been waiting for your movement. I won't force you, but I will keep speaking until you realize this. The miracle won't slow down to accommodate your hesitation. It will only be accessed by obedience that steps into motion before it makes sense. I'm already ahead of you. I've already paved the path. But the path won't reveal itself while you stand still. It will only unfold beneath your feet once you begin walking. So stop waiting for the feelings to align. Stop demanding guarantees. You asked me for the sign, and I gave it. You asked me to move, and I'm moving. Now it's your turn. The window is open, but it won't stay open forever. And what I've planned for you will not pause while you analyze it. So leave your comfort behind. Because your calling won't wait for you to feel ready. It's already here, and you must step into it before it passes you by. This is not a private moment. Though no crowd surrounds you physically, you are not alone in this decision. The throne room is attentive. The hosts of heaven are silent. There is a divine stillness in the atmosphere, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is riding on your next move. What you do now echoes in eternity. I'm not saying that to pressure you, but to awaken you. This moment is sacred. It's more than a choice, it's a turning point. It's the moment when faith is measured, not by feeling, but by obedience. You are being watched, not with condemnation, but with anticipation. Heaven knows what I've deposited inside you. My angels know the weight of your assignment. And now, all of heaven leans in to see whether you will trust what I've spoken over what you've seen. Your response to this moment matters. The enemy also watches, hoping you hesitate, hoping you shrink, hoping you choose fear over faith. He remembers the last time you came close and backed away. He remembers how he clouded your clarity and convinced you that you weren't ready. But what he doesn't know is how I've grown you since then. He doesn't see how your roots have deepened, how your resolve has strengthened, how your spirit has matured in silence. He doesn't know that this time, you've been prepared to cross the threshold. And now, I'm watching lovingly, patiently, but firmly, because I know that your yes holds more weight than you understand. Your obedience in this hour is not just for your benefit. It's for the lives connected to your breakthrough. There are people whose freedom is linked to your faith. There are regions I've assigned you to influence. There are souls who will only find me because of your surrender. And that's why this moment is being observed from heaven's dimension. Because you carry more than you realize. You hold keys that unlock things in the spirit that others have been praying for. And now, as you stand here, the question is not whether you are called, it is whether you will answer. I'm not measuring your eloquence. I'm not looking for a flawless strategy. I'm looking for surrender. That's what heaven responds to. That's what activates movement in the unseen realm. When one child says yes, everything shifts. And you are that child. You don't need applause. You don't need agreement. You don't need assurance from the crowd. You need to remember that the audience that matters most has already taken its seat, and they are waiting to see if your faith will rise to meet your moment. I know it's weighty. I know it's uncomfortable. But I am standing with you in it. I am not watching from afar, I am beside you, ready to strengthen your resolve the moment you lift your foot and begin to step. The angels assigned to your journey are not dormant, they are waiting on your obedience. Because obedience is what releases them. They don't move at your emotion. They move at your command. And your command is rooted in your response to what I've already spoken. You not let the silence of others distract you from the sound of heaven. You heard me. You felt me. You've received the instruction. Now walk in it. Walk knowing that I'm recording this moment in the chronicles of destiny. Walk knowing that every yes matters. Walk knowing that I am proud of you not because you're perfect, but because you're still willing. I don't expect you to be fearless. I expect you to trust me more than you trust your fear. And when you do, you will feel the weight of heaven shift behind you. Favor will follow. Provision will align. Doors will respond to your faith. Because you chose to answer when I called. And as heaven watches, I will make sure that your yes writes a story that echoes louder than every not yet you ever gave before. This moment is unlike any you faced before. It carries eternal weight, not just in what it holds but in what could be lost if you turn away now. I'm not trying to frighten you, I'm trying to wake you. Because I see what's ahead. I see the table already set, the doors already open, the promises already activated in the unseen. And I also see what happens if you walk away. If you let this window close because of fear, doubt, or comfort, the consequences won't just be missed blessings. There'll be memories that linger, possibilities that echo, and a grief that says, it could have been. That's not what I want for you. But you must understand, free will means the choice is yours. I've shown you the way. I've made it plain. I've removed the noise. But I will not drag you across the threshold. This is the hour where your decision speaks louder than your intentions. You may not see the full picture, but you know enough to know this moment matters. You feel it in your chest heavier than usual. You sense it in your soul louder than distraction. It's me. Trying once more to tell you that what you do now will shape not only your story, but the stories of those connected to your obedience. If you turn back, you may find comfort, but it will be hollow. The kind that numbs the heart but never satisfies the soul. Because deep down, you will know that you stood at the edge of divine fulfillment and chose safety over surrender. That knowledge won't break you, but it will stay with you. It will be a constant reminder of the invitation you declined, the glory you delayed, the impact that never had the chance to breathe. And that is what I long to prevent. That is why I'm speaking with such fire now. Because you are so close. Closer than you've ever been. And the enemy knows it, too. That's why the pressure has increased. That's why the distractions feel heavier. That's why everything else seems urgent, because he wants you to lose sight of what's truly essential. He wants you to settle, to retreat, to rationalize your way out of the call. But I'm not letting you go without one more divine confrontation. Look around. Everything has shifted. The atmosphere you're in is not normal. It's sacred. I've drawn near in ways you've never felt before. And I didn't come to give you a motivational speech. I came to rescue your destiny from the grip of hesitation. If you say no now, I'll still love you. I'll still walk with you. But you will have stepped out of alignment with what I timed perfectly for your arrival. Some doors don't wait forever. Some opportunities are tied to seasons that don't repeat. Yes, I can restore what's lost. Yes, I can bring things full circle. But why go through delay and detours when obedience can release everything now? You waited long enough. You've paid the price. You've endured what many wouldn't have survived. And now it's here. Don't let fear write the ending. Don't let what if become your legacy. I didn't bring you this far just to show you the promise. I brought you here to step into it. I will not beg for your yes, but I will remind you of what's at stake. Because your obedience carries eternal consequences, and you will feel them one way or another. I'm offering you the fullness, the overflow, the deep satisfaction that only comes when a child says yes and doesn't look back. You don't have to wonder anymore. The time is now. The sign is here. The call is clear. And the only thing that stands between you and what I've prepared is whether you walk forward or walk away. I've been patient with you not because I'm weak, but because I'm merciful. My mercy held back judgment. My mercy covered your delays. My mercy gave you space to wrestle, to question, to stumble, and to stand again. But now we've come to a turning point, and what I need from you is not another delay wrapped in good intentions, it's action birthed from obedience. My mercy made room for the process, but my instruction calls for a response. The time for preparing has passed. The season for waiting has ended. Now is the hour for execution. You've been asking, Lord, how much longer? And my answer is, no longer. What I'm doing next cannot be postponed. The window I've opened is not permanent, it is specific. It is attached to a divine appointment, not human comfort. And while my love is everlasting, my instructions are bound to moments that are divinely orchestrated. I've stretched time on your behalf. I've waited as you doubted, as you process, as you tested the waters. But I cannot hold back the movement of heaven forever. I will not place the eternal on pause to accommodate the fears of the flesh. I am moving, and I want you to move with me, not after everyone else approves, not after you understand everything, but now. I've already adjusted for your hesitation, and I've covered your missteps. But this is not the moment to test how far grace can bend. This is the moment to respect what obedience demands. What I require isn't complicated. It's costly, yes, but not confusing. I have made the way clear. The path may be narrow, but it is unmistakable. I've spoken through conviction. I've whispered through dreams. I've confirmed through people and circumstances. And now my spirit is pressing firmly, not to condemn you, but to compel you. I am not forcing your hand, I am awakening your responsibility. The mercy that allowed space now gives way to the movement that demands faith. This isn't about earning my favor, you already have it. It's about stepping into what that favor has prepared. Mercy was your safety in the waiting. Instruction is your access to the promise. And if you try to cling to mercy without obeying the voice of instruction, you'll find yourself watching opportunities pass that were meant to carry your name. I don't want that for you. I want you in the middle of what I'm building. I want you planted in the field where harvest is happening. But I cannot wait for comfort to agree with calling. I cannot adjust eternal timelines to fit temporary insecurities. I will be with you as you go, but I will not keep the gate open indefinitely while you decide if you're ready. I know you're scared. I know you feel underqualified. But I'm not asking for perfection, I'm asking for a response. The kind that says, Lord, I don't know what's ahead, but I trust your voice more than I trust my feelings. That response is what releases the next wave. That kind of surrender is what activates provision, protection, and power. You've seen what mercy can do, it's preserve you. But now I want to show you what obedience can do. It will launch you. It will elevate you. It will establish you in places you once only dreamed of. But it starts with a yes. Not tomorrow. Not once you're more confident. Now. Because the instruction I've given wasn't just for your information, it was for your transformation. Mercy gave you time. Instruction gives you direction. And now, my spirit is bringing both together in a moment that demands response. Don't confuse mercy for permission to wait. Don't mistake my patience for approval of delay. The moment is here. The clarity has arrived. Now all that remains is whether you will treat my instruction with the urgency it was meant to carry, or continue to expect mercy to extend where obedience was supposed to begin. You have no idea how much hath been fought off just to preserve this moment for you. While you questioned whether anything was happening, I was warring on your behalf in realms you couldn't see. I've shielded what belongs to you not because you earned it, but because I assigned it. I've placed a spiritual perimeter around what is meant for your name, and no enemy has been able to steal it. There were attacks sent to sabotage your timing, distractions designed to blur your vision, people positioned to plant doubt, but I blocked them all. Not because you defended yourself, but because I did. I stood between your future and every plot that was set to destroy it. I hid what was meant for you where no hand could reach it except yours. And now that the appointed moment has arrived, I'm bringing it into view not just so you can see it, but so you can step into it. But don't misunderstand this. Though the enemy cannot steal what I've sealed for you, he can still deceive you into walking away from it. That's why the warfare increased just before this moment. That's why your mind was under attack. That's why discouragement and fatigue suddenly intensified. It wasn't because you were weak, it was because you were close. So close, in fact, that darkness began to panic. The enemy can't touch the opportunity, so he targeted your confidence. He couldn't close the door I opened, so he whispered lies to make you question if you should walk through it. But I've come now to silence every voice that's tried to convince you otherwise. This is not a door you forced open. This is one I've preserved for you alone. No one else's name fits the assignment behind it. No one else's identity matches the design I built around it. I didn't make a general path, I made a tailored one. And only your obedience activates it. It will respond to anyone else's faith. It will unlock for someone trying to imitate your story. It will only move for your yes. This is how intimately I know you. This is how intricately I work. I didn't just prepare a blessing, I personalized it. And now, I'm placing it within reach, with full knowledge of everything you've been through to get here. You faced more than you shared. You survived seasons that tried to strip you of your strength. But every hit that came against you has now been used to build the resilience you will need for what's ahead. Every delay became a layer of protection. Every detour became divine training. Every tear watered the ground where your breakthrough now waits to be harvested. And that's why this opportunity is sacred. It's not just an open door, it's a sealed promise. And the seal only breaks with your surrender. No one can walk through it on your behalf. No one else can speak your yes. No one else can fulfill what I designed for your hands. And that's why this moment is not casual. I've guarded it with purpose. I've delivered it with precision. And now, the access rests entirely with you. I will not override your will. I will not bypass your hesitation. I will not force my gift into a heart that won't move. But I am standing here now, fully present, holding what I've kept safe in the shadows, saying, here it is. What you've prayed for. What you've cried for. What you didn't think would survive the storm. It survived because I preserved it. And now, it waits for you. Not for your perfection, but your participation. Not for your qualifications, but your commitment. You don't need to do anything to earn this. You only need to respond. It's not locked because it's inaccessible. It's locked because it recognizes your voice. And when your voice says yes, what has been held back will be released instantly. You've wondered if you missed it. You didn't. It's still here. I kept it safe for you. Now claim what I've covered. Step forward, because what I protected cannot remain hidden much longer, and it was never meant to be claimed by anyone but you. You've been asking for direction, clarity, confirmation, and yet I've already been speaking over and over again. The truth is, I haven't been silent. I've been steadily, repeatedly showing you what you asked me for. But you didn't always recognize it in the form it came. You wanted thunder, and I whispered. You looked for handwriting in the sky, and I wrote directly on your heart. I gave you signs in your sleep, dreams that felt too vivid to dismiss. You thought they were scattered images, strange emotions, but I was revealing truth through visions, mapping out moments, sending previews of what's unfolding now. Those impressions were not random. They were messages. And now, they're being fulfilled before your very eyes. I gave you verses, 2 passages that burned in your spirit louder than the world around you. They weren't chosen by accident. You thought you stumbled upon them, or that someone just happened to send them. But they were planted by my spirit. They carried weight because they carried timing. You read those scriptures over and over, not realizing they were the very blueprints for the season you're walking into now. You've asked, Lord, where is the sign? Child, you are standing in it. Everything is pointing here. The dreams, The word, the impressions in your spirit, they've all converged to confirm this moment. The unease in your heart when you delay. That's the tug of my spirit pulling you into alignment. The sudden heaviness you feel when you try to go backward. That's me making sure you can't return to places I've already called you out from. The peace that settles when you consider moving forward, even though you don't have all the details. That's me too. I'm not sending more signs because I already have. You don't need new revelation, you need recognition. Recognize what I've already said. Look back and remember. I've been writing this in layers, through people, through whispers, through the very questions that refuse to leave you. You think it's a coincidence that everywhere you turn, the same message echoes. That's not chance, it's coordination. I've been lining up your environment to match the truth I planted inside you. The messages you couldn't ignore, the random confirmations that showed up in moments of weakness, the recurring patterns you saw in sermons, lyrics, conversations, all of it was me. I've been trying to get your attention without forcing your hand. That's how I work. I invite. I draw. I awaken. And now, the invitation is louder than ever, not because I'm growing impatient, but because the moment is growing urgent. You're not just being nudged, you're being launched. But you must stop waiting for something that's already been given. The map is complete. The path is lit. The only thing left is for you to trust the signs that were written in language your spirit already understands. Do not underestimate the precision of my preparation. I've been deliberate with every detail. I didn't throw pieces of guidance your way and hope they'd stick. I've been calculating and clear layering dreams with verses, verses with moments, moments with divine impressions. And now, I'm bringing it all into focus. Everything points here. Not to overwhelm you, but to show you you're not lost. You're not behind. You're not making this up. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. But don't treat this like another season of waiting. This is a season of response. I've already spoken. Heaven has already released instruction. You are not waiting on me. You're standing in what you've been shown all along. So don't ignore the signs just because they weren't wrapped in lightning. They were delivered through the sacred rhythm of my voice, dream by dream, word by word, and now it's time to step where every sign has been pointing forward. I see how you've questioned yourself. You've asked, why do I feel this so strongly? Why does this pull keep coming back, even when I try to silence it? It's because what you're experiencing isn't emotional impulsiveness, it's spiritual awakening. It's the sound of destiny knocking, louder than ever before. That stirring inside your chest, the weight that refuses to leave you, the sense that you must do something now. It's not anxiety, and it's not delusion. That is my spirit. I placed it within you to override every voice of doubt and hesitation. What you're feeling is not pressure from the outside, it's purpose from within. It's not hype, it's heaven. That unshakable drive, that sense that something is changing even if nothing around you has shifted yet, is your inner man responding to my divine call. You've tried to explain it to others, but they can't always understand it because I didn't assign this urgency to them. I assigned it to you. They weren't given the same vision. They weren't entrusted with the same portion. They didn't receive the same instructions I gave you. And that's why their lack of understanding is not a sign that you're off course, it's a reminder that your path is sacred. When I begin to move deeply in a person's life, the stirring won't always come with public affirmation. It often comes in solitude, where I speak louder than the noise of approval. So stop dismissing what you feel just because it doesn't make sense to others. You're not imagining it. You're not fabricating it. You're discerning it. This urgency is not new, it's just finally undeniable. It's been building through every season of delay, deepening with every moment of preparation. You didn't recognize it before because it was hidden beneath your waiting. But now, it has risen to the surface because what I've planned for you is ready to be released. You can no longer ignore it without consequence. This isn't the kind of urgency you can postpone until it feels safer. It's not like anything you felt in the past, because this time it's not about a lesson, it's about a launch. And if you suppress it now, you won't be able to silence the ache that follows. Because once you taste this kind of divine momentum, you can't return to passive existence. There is something eternal pushing through your present. It's the cry of purpose breaking through the surface of fear. It's the call of your future demanding your attention. It doesn't come gently, it comes like fire. It doesn't ask for permission, it demands your participation. You don't need to pray it away. You don't need to calm it down. You need to respond. It's the spiritual alarm clock going off, saying, "You were born for this. You're ready. You must move now." Stop calling it restlessness. Stop diagnosing it as confusion. It is revelation taking root in your spirit, and it's trying to move your feet. I place that urgency there to keep you from settling. It's a compass, not a burden. It's there to disrupt complacency. That's why nothing else feels satisfying right now. That's why your spirit keeps rejecting anything that looks like delay. It's not because you're impatient, it's because your time has come. You're sensing it because you're aligned with my rhythm. And that's something the enemy hoped you'd never learn to recognize. He tried to drown that urgency with disappointment. He tried to replace it with doubt. But here you are, still burning, still feeling it, still wondering what it all means. I'll tell you what it means. You're ready. And if you dare to listen to what your spirit already knows, you'll move at the speed of grace. Not rushed but empowered. Not reckless but unwavering. Because the urgency you feel is not demanding chaos, it's announcing change. A change that starts with your yes. So trust the fire. Follow the pull. Don't wait for logic to catch up with what I've already made clear in your soul. The urgency you feel isn't your imagination, it's my invitation. Say yes, and let that divine urgency carry you into what has already been waiting for you to finally step into. This moment is not random. It was circled long before you were born. Before you ever took your first breath, I etched this day onto the scroll of your life, fully aware of what would need to align, who you would become, and what I would be calling you into. You are not stumbling into this hour, you are stepping into something I've reserved, prepared, and timed with exact precision. This is a divinely appointed moment. You've walked through so many seasons wondering when things would make sense, when the fog would lift, when purpose would finally become visible. You asked me to show you when it would be time. My answer is here. It's now. I don't mark moments lightly. I don't set appointments in your life without intention. This isn't about chance, it's about convergence. Everything you faced, every delay, every lesson, every crushing weight you've carried has led here. This isn't just another opportunity, it's a strategic release of heaven's timeline over your life. The urgency you feel is not a signal to panic, it's confirmation that the date I set in eternity has intersected with your present reality. This moment holds the weight of decades. It carries the promise of everything I've whispered to you when no one else could hear. You sensed it. That feeling you can't explain. The one that makes your heart beat differently when you pray, when you read my word, when you're alone, and everything suddenly feels like it's shifting. It's not in your head. It's me confirming that what I scheduled is unfolding. This is the moment that carries both fulfillment and transition. The place where one chapter closes and another begins, not with noise, but with unmistakable clarity. You don't need fireworks. You just need to trust that what's happening is bigger than what your eyes can see. And that's why I need your response. Not tomorrow. Not after you've processed everything. Not when it's convenient or when people validate it. Now. Because when I schedule something in your life, I also assign a specific grace to move with it. That grace doesn't stay still. It travels with the timing. If you delay, the burden becomes heavier. If you obey now, the doors open with ease. That doesn't mean the journey will be without cost. It means the resistance won't be able to stop you because you're riding the current of my anointing. You waited. You've prayed. You fasted. You've asked me to do something new. I've answered. But new doesn't always look like you expected. Truth up is instruction. It arrives as interruption. It appears in the middle of your routine and asks you to move before your comfort is ready. But I will not delay what I've marked for this hour just to wait for your fear to settle. You must choose cling to what feels safe or respond to what is sacred. This state is about more than you. What I do through you will affect lives you've never met. It will awaken those who are watching you silently. It will break chains and bloodlines. It will shift atmospheres. But it all begins with what you decide here. Right now. There is no more preparation required. There is no missing piece left. You are standing in the appointed time, and all of heaven is aligned. If you move, it moves with you. If you weigh, the weight increases. Because this moment has motion attached to it, and it's your yes that triggers its release. So don't downplay this. Don't call it a coincidence. Don't shrug it off as emotional stirring. Look at everything that's led you here and recognize my fingerprint on it all. This date is not just marked on a calendar, it's stamped in heaven. And when heaven marks something, nothing on earth can block it unless your silence does. So open your mouth. Open your heart. Open your hands. I've called. I've confirmed. Now I'm waiting for your response to the moment I scheduled, the date I protected, and the destiny I'm now unlocking with your obedience. You don't see them, but they are there. Assigned to your life with specific orders. They have stood watch over your journey from the very beginning. They shielded you in moments of danger, whispered strength into your weariness, and helped rout what the enemy meant for destruction. These aren't passive beings, they are divine messengers, sent from my throne room, each one carrying precise instructions tied to your assignment. But there is something you must understand. Angels move in response to my word, but their movement into action depends on your obedience. They are in place now. They are standing ready. But their mission is stalled not because of opposition, but because of hesitation. You've asked me to accelerate your life. You've asked for breakthrough, healing, restoration, clarity. I've already released it. It is not waiting in the future. It's being held in position. My spiritual forces prepared to deliver it. But the command they need to proceed doesn't come from another prayer, it comes from your yes. Your movement. Your decision to act in full agreement with what I've already said. That's how heaven works. When I speak, my angels align. When you respond, they are released to carry out what was prepared. But until you step, they stand. This is not about earning favor, it's about unlocking fulfillment. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fully confident. But you do need to be willing. Because willingness gives permission for what's already been arranged to manifest. Angels don't move because of your emotions. They move in alignment with divine order. And I've orchestrated a moment that is charged with angelic readiness. They're not standing still out of confusion, they're waiting for a signal that you trust me more than you trust your fears. Every delay in your obedience causes delay in the mission they've been assigned to fulfill. Every time you hesitate, heaven pauses not because I am withdrawing, but because you are the vessel through which the miracle must move. My kingdom flows through agreement. I do not override your free will. I partner with it. And I've positioned supernatural help to accompany you into your next. You are not walking alone. But they cannot precede a decision you haven't made. This is the moment where faith must become action, not just words, not just intentions, not just tears, but response. I know what you're up against. I know the resistance you felt, the battles no one else knows you fought. But child, those same battles are the reason your angels were dispatched in the first place. I didn't send them to you because you're weak. I sent them because you carry a call that requires divine protection, divine assistance, and divine breakthrough. That's why warfare intensified. That's why it felt like the atmosphere shifted against you. Because the enemy senses angelic presence. He knows that something is about to be delivered. He can't stop them, but he's been trying to stop you from activating them through your obedience. You've paid for favor. You fasted for acceleration. You've cried out for confirmation. But this is the hour where action must speak louder than intercession. A miracle is set. The help is prepared. The room of your life is filled with angelic strategy. But your next step is the key. Will you release them? Will you let your obedience be the signal that tells heaven, I'm ready? Or will you hold back another day, hoping for more certainty while divine messengers stand waiting, arms full, feet steady, eyes locked on your movement? They will not force your future. They will not override your free will, but they will honor it. And the moment your life says yes completely, unapologetically, urgently, they will move. And when they move, doors will swing wide. Chains will break in places you didn't even know you were bound. Provision will appear without explanation. Resources will locate you. People will be drawn to you. Because it won't just be you walking into your next, it will be heaven's army walking with you. So take the step, not just for yourself, but for everything that's been waiting to be released through you. Your yes activates more than you know. My angels are in position. Don't make them wait another moment. You've been thinking too small. You've been weighing this decision as if it only affects your timeline, your emotions, your future. But what I need you to understand right now is this: what you're carrying is not just for your benefit. It is for others. Your obedience isn't only about where I'm taking you, it's about who will be reached because you said yes. There are lives tied to your surrender. There are destinies aligned with your movement. What you choose to do in this very hour will echo beyond your personal breakthrough. It will become the catalyst for generational transformation, divine intersections, and healing that will flow through you to others who have been silently crying out for me. You've asked me to use you. You've asked me to let your life make a difference. I heard that prayer. And this is how it begins, not with applause, not with grand announcements, but with a quiet, private yes in the secret place. You won't always see who's watching you. You won't always know who's being influenced by the steps you take. But I do. And that's why I'm pressing on your heart so strongly. You've been marked not just to rise, but to lift. Not just to walk into freedom, but to lead others there, too. Your yes is a gate. And when you open it, others will walk through behind you. Think about what would have happened if the ones before you had ignored my voice. Think about how much longer you would have wandered if someone else hadn't chosen courage over comfort. You're here because someone obeyed when it wasn't easy. And now, it's your turn. I've placed you where you are on purpose, not because it's convenient, but because it's strategic. You are planted in this time, in this generation, for a reason. And the enemy knows it. That's why the pressure has been so intense. That's why the battles felt personal. Because if he can stop you, he knows it won't just silence your story, it will delay the release of freedom meant to ripple from your obedience. There are people you haven't met yet whose prayers are being answered through your response. There are souls in crisis who are about to encounter me through your movement. You don't need to be famous. You don't need a platform. You just need to walk in what I've shown you. You just need to obey. Because obedience multiplies. It multiplies healing. It multiplies peace. It multiplies momentum. And what begins in your secret surrender will manifest in public fruit. You were never meant to carry this mantle for yourself alone. I anointed you to become a conduit. That's why the burden feels heavy sometimes, because it was never just about your own freedom. You've been trusted to carry fire that will ignite others. Every moment you said yes in private, I've been using to build something public. Every time you pressed forward when it felt easier to quit, I've been expanding your reach. Not so that your name would be lifted, but so that my glory could be made known through your story. I'm not asking you to carry the weight of the world. I'm asking you to carry the weight of your yes. Because your yes is enough to break strongholds. Your yes is enough to shift entire environments. Your yes will become the answer to prayers you didn't even know existed. And on the days you feel unseen, remember this: I see you. And those connected to your assignment, whether you realize it or not, will feel the impact of your courage. Some will never even know your name, but they will know the freedom that came because you chose to move. So don't hesitate thinking this is only about your next chapter. It's about the pages that will be written in the lives of others because you turned the page when I asked. This is about legacy. This is about divine multiplication. This is about me using your obedience to unlock what others thought was unreachable. Your yes is the doorway, and through it, I will reach more than you ever imagined. You are the connection they've been waiting for. Don't delay what I've destined to flow through you. You see only the first step, the one I'm asking you to take now. But what you don't see yet is what follows behind it, the chain reaction, the unlocking, the cascading release that has been waiting for your yes. One obedient decision will not only shift your path, but it will set off a ripple effect that changes everything it touches. You think it's small, but it's sacred. You think it's just one moment, but in heaven's eyes, it's a gate that opens into an unfolding realm of miracles. What I've planned for you is not a single breakthrough, it's a sequence. And the first domino is in front of you right now. There are blessings lined up behind your obedience. You won't just encounter favor, you'll walk into waves of it. You won't only experience peace, you'll release it everywhere you go. Because when I set something in motion, I don't do it halfway. I complete what I begin. But I always start with a yes. Your yes. That single word carries more spiritual weight than you know. It activates the instructions that have already been given to angels. It triggers promises that were written into your life before time began. It awakens the things in your lineage that I've kept hidden until the moment you decided to say yes and mean it. Right now, all of heaven is positioned. The atmosphere is charged. The spiritual realm is on edge, waiting for your agreement so that what I've orchestrated can begin its full movement. One step in obedience will cause doors to open where there were only walls before. One decision to follow what I've said will cause acceleration where there was once delay. One moment of surrender will unleash clarity, resources, connections, and divine opportunities that had no entrance until obedience made a way. You've been asking me to move, but I've been waiting for you to trust what I've already spoken. I don't speak to fill time, I speak to fulfill destiny. And every word I've given you is layered with purpose. The smallest instruction you receive from me is never isolated. It's linked. It's part of something far larger than what your mind can grasp right now. When you obey the instruction that's in front of you, it unlocks the one behind it. And when that one opens, the next is released. That's how my kingdom works: order, alignment, multiplication. Some of the things you've been praying for are already prepared. They're not delayed, they're waiting for you to take the one action that will cause them to begin falling into place like dominoes tipped at just the right angle, in just the right time. When that happens, things move fast. Momentum takes over. You won't have to strive for every door, you'll simply walk forward and watch them open. You'll look back and wonder how it all came together so quickly, and I'll remind you, it was never about timing alone. It was about alignment. And alignment always begins with obedience. The enemy has tried to make you second-guess this step because he knows what's behind it. He's tried to confuse you with distraction, wear you down with fatigue, make you believe that this one choice doesn't really matter. But I'm here to tell you, it matters more than you think. Because this isn't just a decision, it's a key. It's a supernatural unlocking. You're holding the first domino in your hand right now, and your choice to move or delay will determine what happens next. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to see all 60 dominoes lined up. You just need to trust that I've lined them up for you. You just need to say yes and let your hand release the one I've placed in front of you. When you do, everything changes. The atmosphere shifts. Things begin falling into place faster than you can imagine. And all of it will trace back to one moment of trust. One quiet act of obedience. One simple response to my voice that said, "Move now." There is a domino of miracles behind your yes, and the first one falls the moment you choose obedience over comfort. Don't hesitate. Don't wait. Touch it. Dip it. Move. And watch the supernatural sequence begin. If I were to show you even a glimpse of what's on the other side of your obedience, you wouldn't hesitate for even a second. You wouldn't pause. You wouldn't wait for one more confirmation. You run. You'd sprint toward this moment with open hands and surrendered heart. Because what I'm about to release over your life is not ordinary, it's supernatural. It's bigger than what you've been asking for. It's broader than what you've imagined. It's deeper than what your prayers have touched. I've heard every request, but what I've prepared exceeds them all. And if you could only see what's waiting, hesitation would vanish. But I'm not showing you everything, not because I'm withholding it, but because I want you to move in faith. Faith doesn't require full visibility. It requires full trust. I want you to walk, not because you've seen the ending, but because you believe the one who writes the endings. If you only obeyed when the picture was complete, it wouldn't be trust, it would be control. And I'm not looking for control. I'm looking for surrender. That's why I give you just enough light for the next step, not the entire staircase. Because I want your obedience, not your analysis. And child, if you'll trust me with this step, what I'm about to release will unfold in ways that will leave you breathless. I'm not playing games with your heart. I'm not teasing you with glimpses of breakthrough only to pull it away. The tension you feel, the pull between waiting and moving, it's because the release is near. Tokos. And the enemy knows it. That's why the resistance has been heavy. That's why doubt has crept in when you least expected it. That's why you've been under pressure in places you thought were stable. It's not coincidence. It's opposition, trying to keep you from what's about to be delivered. But nothing he throws at you can compare to what I've already stored up for this very hour. If I opened the vault right now and showed you the favor lined up with your name on it, the relationships, the healing, the expansion, the creative flow, the provision, the doors, the platforms, the peace, you wouldn't question me again. But I'm not giving it all at once, because you must be able to carry it without pride and sustain it with character. That's why this moment of trust is so pivotal. What you do with this sign this exact moment will determine what I release next. This is the crossroads between continuation and acceleration. And if you choose faith over fear, I will pour out what I've been holding back for years. You thought the delays meant denial, but they didn't. They meant I was building the capacity in you to hold what was coming. And now that you're ready, so is heaven. You've matured in secret. You've grown in silence. You've been faithful when no one saw the cost. And now, I'm about to reward what was done in the unseen with something undeniable. You're stepping into a season where you won't have to convince anyone of what I'm doing, they'll see it. They'll witness my favor resting on your life in ways that speak louder than your words ever could. But here's what I need from you now: movement. Not another delay. Not another evaluation of your past. I'm not asking for your history, I'm asking for your obedience. I'm not requiring perfection, I'm requiring pursue. Just one step. One act of surrender. One moment of boldness that says, God, I don't see it all, but I know it's you, so I will go. That's all it takes. That's what triggers the release. You don't need to figure it out, you need to follow. Because what's coming next will make sense of every battle. What's about to be poured into your life will silence every lie you've believed. The blessings I'm about to release aren't random, they're intentional, precise, and timed. And they're waiting on your yes. So don't stand still when the floodgates are ready. Don't second-guess the sign I've planted directly in your path. If you truly knew what's about to be released, you'd stop walking, you'd start running. There are moments in life when what you do next doesn't just shift your path, it shapes the very substance of your future. This is one of those moments. What you decide right now isn't small. It's not something to take lightly. Because the weight of what comes next, the measure, the impact, the influence, the acceleration hinges entirely on how you respond in this exact hour. I place something in your hands. Not just an idea, not just an instruction, but a responsibility. Your obedience is the deciding factor between what could happen and what will happen. I am ready to act, but I will not override the authority I gave you to choose. You've asked me to move mightily. I've prepared to answer that prayer. But my power always flows through participation. When I called Moses, It wasn't enough for him to hear me from the burning bush. You had to act. When I called Peter, it wasn't enough for him to hear the invitation to step out. He had to lift his foot over the edge. You are standing in the same position. You heard me. You felt me. You've seen the signs. Now what happens next is determined not by what I say, but by what you do with what I said. Don't underestimate this moment. It carries weight. It carries momentum. But it will not carry itself into fulfillment without your partnership. You have the power to either initiate the release or prolong the process. And I'm not saying that to pressure you, I'm telling you the truth so you don't delay the glory I'm ready to reveal. Every blessing has a level. Every breakthrough has a measure. And while my love is limitless, what I release into your life is directly connected to your readiness and willingness. This is the threshold where that readiness is tested, where heaven waits to see what your faith will authorize. Some things you've asked me for are waiting just on the other side of your response. Not because I'm holding them back out of punishment, but because I don't deliver mature blessings into unprepared vessels. The greater the assignment, the deeper the surrender. The more weight you're called to carry, the more deliberate your obedience must be. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm not demanding flawless execution. I'm asking for an unshakable yes. A yes that doesn't retreat at the first sign of pressure. A yes that doesn't shrink back when the details aren't revealed. A yes that says, whatever you ask, I'll do it. You've been trained for this. Everything I've brought you through has led you to this junction in your journey. You thought you were wandering, but you were being refined. You assumed you were being overlooked, but you were being positioned. And now, all of it comes down to this. Will you trust me enough to act when the instruction costs you your comfort? Because the level of your response will determine the level of your reward. A hesitant yes produces a limited outcome. But a bold yes, a wholehearted, immediate yes unleashes the full measure of what I've prepared. I know it's weighty. That's why I've walked with you through the hidden places, through the pain, through the silent nights. I've built in you the kind of faith that doesn't collapse under pressure. You don't even realize how strong I've made you. But now's the time for that strength to be proven, not in words but in action. You are not standing in front of a suggestion. You are standing in front of a divine instruction, and how you respond will determine whether you live beneath the blessing or step into its fullness. This is more than another decision. This is an activation point. This is where the spiritual world takes your yes and turns it into momentum. This is where unseen forces move at the sound of your obedience. This is where the heavens shift because you aligned your life with my voice. So don't hesitate. Don't let this be another moment you remember with regret. Let it be the moment that opened everything. Your response now determines the weight of what follows next. Let your faith be loud. Let your obedience be complete. Because what I do after this depends on what you choose right now. When a seed begins to break through the soil, the surrounding ground doesn't become softer, it becomes tighter. When birth is imminent, the labor doesn't ease, it intensifies. And the same is true for where you are now. The pressure has increased, not because you are far away from what I've promised, but because you are right at the threshold of it. You've mistaken the resistance as a sign that things are falling apart, but it's actually proof that everything is falling into place. This is not the end, it's the beginning of delivery. You are not behind schedule, you are moments away from a divine emergence. You are closer than you've ever been, and that is why the battle has been so relentless. The enemy sees what you cannot. He's not reacting to your current position, he's reacting to your upcoming elevation. That's why the warfare has shifted. That's why the attacks have become more subtle, more personal, more invasive. He's throwing every possible distraction, every conceivable doubt, every ounce of exhaustion into your path because he knows what you're about to step into will ruin everything he's built against you. He fears your obedience more than you know. Because when you take that final step, when you cross that final barrier, there will be nothing left he can do to stop what I've ordained. I have not brought you this far to let it collapse here. You didn't survive all that pain just to walk away when the promise is one breath away. What you're carrying is too precious. What I've placed inside of you has been matured through hardship, watered by your tears, and protected by my hand. This pressure is not a sign to retreat, it's confirmation to push. It's the signal that the spiritual atmosphere is shifting. You're not in danger, you're in delivery. And I need you to hold your ground like someone who knows what's coming is worth fighting for. Don't judge the distance by how you feel. Feelings fluctuate. My truth doesn't. My timeline hasn't changed. My word hasn't returned void. Every prophecy I've spoken over your life is still alive, and it's working even when it looks like nothing is moving. You've been walking in the dark, yes, but I've been guiding you step by step. And now, the darkness is about to break. The dawn is closer than it appears. You will not remain in this season much longer. And what I release next will explain why the enemy tried so hard to make you give up right here. You need to know that everything you've endured hasn't been wasted. Not one cry, not one moment of surrender, not one act of obedience went unseen. I've been building something in you, not for where you've been, but for where you're headed. And now, that strength is about to serve you. That endurance is about to carry you over the last threshold. Don't get weary now. Don't let the magnitude of the battle make you forget the magnitude of the blessing. You are standing in the final stretch, and the contraction you're feeling is not destruction, it's transition. I know your arms are tired. I know your heart is worn. But if you could see how close heaven is right now, if you could see how many promises are standing right behind this final door, you would understand why the resistance came the way it did. It's because your next step will change everything. It's because your yes right now carries more authority than 10 before it. This is not an ordinary moment. This is the final surge before breakthrough becomes visible. So lift your head, wipe your tears, and press. Push like someone who knows this is not in vain. Walk like someone who knows angels are already dispatched. Move like someone who knows the pain is about to be replaced by promise. You are closer than you think, and that's exactly why the pressure has intensified. Because what you're about to step into will silence every voice that ever told you to stop. What feels like collapse is actually correction. What looks like disarray is heaven rearranging. You've perceived the unraveling as something going wrong, but I tell you this, it's what's been going wrong that I'm finally making right. This is not the removal of stability, it is the restoration of order. My order. The kind of order that aligns your life with my original design for you. And in order to establish that, I must dismantle what was built on fear, on performance, on pressure, on people-pleasing, or self-preservation. I'm not tearing you apart, I'm freeing you from false structure so I can seat you in truth. You've been trying to hold it together, but that's not what I've asked of you. I never called you to maintain a life you built under pressure. I called you to release the grip so I could rebuild it on purpose. That tightness in your chest, that sense of panic, that ache that you might lose what you've worked so hard for, it's not me. I am not the author of chaos. I am the one who restores clarity. And clarity cannot live in places where control reigns. That's why I'm letting the ground shift beneath your feet. I'm not punishing you, I'm positioning you for something that can't be birthed in environments where you call all the shots. I know it's uncomfortable. Surrender always is. But it's also sacred. You're not falling apart, you're falling into alignment. And what you'll see soon is that what I'm removing was never meant to remain. You built some of it out of survival. You carried certain responsibilities that weren't yours to begin with. You shouldered burdens I never assigned. And because I love you, I couldn't let you keep building on foundations that couldn't hold what's coming. So yes, I allowed the shaking. Not to scare you, but to separate what's false from what's faithful. When a tree is pruned, it looks like it's being harmed, but it's actually being healed. That's what this is. This is not the end of your stability, it's the beginning of my structure. I'm not stealing control from you, I'm inviting you to hand it over before it breaks you. Because the next part of your story cannot be built on striving. It must be born from surrender. I'm not asking you to figure everything out. I'm asking you to rest in the reality that I already have. You don't need to master the plan. You need to trust the planner. Everything around you that feels like it's moving too fast, everything that seems like it's slipping beyond your reach, it's not a crisis. It's the sign of a holy interruption. I'm allowing discomfort to disrupt what you've settled for so that you won't stay there any longer. I have something greater, something deeper, something more fulfilling than the version of life you've been trying to maintain through your own strength. But to walk in that, you must be free from the illusion that you're in control. Control never created miracles, faith did. So if it feels like everything is shifting, it's because it is. I'm shifting your atmosphere. I'm shifting your focus. I'm shifting your identity away from performance and into promise. You don't have to have it all together. You just have to be willing to release what was never yours to carry. This moment, this precise moment, is the gateway. You can either keep trying to hold all the pieces or let me become your cornerstone. Let me show you what it looks like when peace isn't dependent on your plans working, but on my hand moving. And yes, it may feel like you're unraveling, but what's actually happening is this. I'm unraveling the lie that your value is in control. Your value is in me. You're not being undone, you're being reordered. And everything that's falling away is making space for what I've wanted to establish all along. You're not being punished. You're being placed. You're not losing everything. You're about to gain something that can never be taken. So release the fear. Release the fight. I've got you. You're not spiraling, you're being secured. Not by the structure you built, but by the presence you've now entered. This is divine order, and it's right on time. What you call quiet, I call strategic. What feels like absence is actually alignment. I haven't left you. I haven't been silent to punish you or distance myself from you. My voice hasn't stopped, it's simply speaking in a language deeper than sound. I'm communicating through the stillness, through the delay, through the spaces where nothing seems to be moving. In fact, it's in those places that the greatest transformation is taking shape, not outside of you, but within you. Because if you only hear me in thunder, you'll miss me in the whisper. And right now, I am the whisper shaping your next season. You've prayed for answers. You've asked for signs. But you didn't realize the very pause you're experiencing is my response in motion. Silence is not inactivity. It's intentionality. When I'm quiet, I'm drawing your attention inward. I'm bringing you to a place where faith has to grow without sight, where trust matures in the absence of evidence. That's where you become anchored, not just informed. I'm not merely giving you direction, I'm building your discernment. And that only happens when your spirit tunes in beyond what your ears can capture. I know you've wondered why the noise around you has quieted, why the momentum you once felt has slowed. But that's not a sign of decline, it's an invitation into depth. You're in the depth zone now, where I don't just change your scenery, I change your structure. Where I don't just shift your circumstances, I stretch your capacity. And that stretching doesn't come with fanfare. It comes in moments like these, when it feels like I've drawn back, but I'm actually drawing you closer. In seasons of silence, pride cannot survive. Performance loses its power. All that remains is your raw heart and my real presence. And that's exactly what I'm after. I want the version of you that doesn't need applause to believe, that doesn't need proof to proceed. I want the version of you that still listens even when the echo is gone. Because when you can follow me through the quiet, nothing will be able to pull you off track when the noise returns. This is not a test, it's a tuning. You see, silence is often misunderstood. It's not emptiness, it's preparation. Ask Joseph, who sat in prison with dreams he couldn't explain. Ask David, who hid in caves with a crown in waiting. Ask Jesus, who prayed in Gethsemane while heaven withheld its thunder. Silence is where strength is refined. It's the forge of unshakable obedience. And right now, I'm forging something in you that can't be birthed in constant stimulation. You don't need more information. You need transformation. That's what I'm doing here. You've looked for confirmation through open doors, through signs in the sky, through sudden opportunities. But what if the confirmation isn't external, it's internal? What if the peace you've been feeling even in the uncertainty is the voice of my spirit telling you, I'm here. Keep going. Don't mistake my quietness as disengagement. I am more engaged with your journey than you know. I am monitoring every detail, adjusting every outcome, protecting every vulnerable part of your path. And in this silence, I'm showing you that my presence is not limited to moments of emotional intensity. I'm just as real in the stillness as I am in the storm. I'm just as close in the lull as I am in the breakthrough. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are being grown in a way that can't be rushed. And soon, when the silence breaks, you'll realize I never stopped speaking. I was just speaking in a frequency that trains your heart, not just your ears. So breathe. Stop straining to hear me in ways you used to. I'm doing something new. I'm whispering deeper now, calling you to higher trust, to a more stable faith, to a richer intimacy. And when the next season comes, when my voice returns like a flood, you'll be ready to move not just from instruction but from revelation. Don't misread the silence. I've never been more in love. And I'm using this silence to make sure that when I speak again, you don't just hear me, you move with me. The tension you feel isn't random, it's a wake-up call from heaven. You've outgrown what was once necessary. You've been stretched beyond the borders of your previous understanding. And now, the discomfort rising in your heart isn't a threat, it's a trumpet. I've allowed it to increase, because you weren't made to sleep through this moment. The call on your life is far too urgent to let you settle into slumber. You're not being punished, you're being shaken awake. And not just for your sake, but for all those who are assigned to your breakthrough. This irritation in your spirit, this sense that something must shift, that's me stirring you. You've become too accustomed to managing what I've called you to master. You've adapted to dysfunction. You've tolerated delay. But the fire that's growing inside you is a signal. You're no longer compatible with complacency. Your spirit is craving movement. And even though you might not see the whole path, you know you can't stay where you are. That's not confusion. That's calling. That's the push of destiny reminding you that purpose doesn't bloom in comfort zones. The systems you've built, the relationships you've entertained, the responsibilities you've juggled, some of those were never meant to follow you into the next season. I'm not asking you to carry dead weight. I'm asking you to travel light, because where I'm taking you will require room for new assignments, new alignments, and new authority. So if it feels like things are breaking down, know this. I'm breaking cycles, not your spirit. I'm tearing down patterns that have kept you from soaring. I need you to recognize the holy tension for what it is. It's not anxiety, it's anointing calling you forward. It's the spirit tugging at the deepest part of you, telling you there's more. And the more is not found in maintaining old rhythms. The more is found in obeying the moment. This moment. Right now. Because the window is open. The atmosphere is shifting. And if you keep pressing snooze on my prompting, you'll miss the alignment I've carefully orchestrated around you. There's a reason I've made you uncomfortable in the places you once fit. You no longer belong there. Not because you've failed, but because you've grown. This is not rejection, it's redirection. The space that used to hold you can't contain who you've become. And if you try to shrink back to make others more comfortable, you'll suffocate the very fire I lit inside you. You weren't made to be small. You weren't called to blend in. You were designed to shift atmospheres, to unlock freedom, to awaken others, but it starts with you first rising. Every delay you faced, every disappointment that seemed to knock the wind out of you, was preparing you for this very awakening. I've been gathering the pieces, arranging the puzzle, whispering at night and confirming in the day, all so you'd be ready when this moment arrived. And now, it's here. I'm not asking for your perfection. I'm not waiting on flawless strategy. I'm waiting for your agreement. Your yes. Not just in your words, but in your posture, in your mindset, in your actions. Stand up. Even if your knees still shake, stand. Move forward, even if your vision is still blurry. What matters is not that you understand every step, it's that you no longer ignore the nudge. I will guide you. I will provide for you. But I will not force you. This is your moment to rise to say, I may not know everything, but I know I can't stay here. And when you take that first step, the heavens will respond. Provision will meet you mid-motion. Clarity will follow courage. Don't be deceived, the discomfort you feel is not a curse. It is the sign that you are no longer asleep to your assignment. This is me telling you, enough waiting. Enough stalling. Enough wondering if you're ready. You're being summoned. You're being positioned. You're being awakened. Your discomfort is not the end, it's the bell that rings before resurrection begins. So rise. It's time. You're expecting me to move like I have in the past, but I must interrupt that expectation now. The old patterns were necessary for the old seasons. But this is not that. This time, I'm not repeating history, I'm writing it. What I'm doing now will not resemble the miracles you've witnessed before. It will not echo the strategies that worked last year. And it will not fit inside the containers you've previously built. Because what I'm releasing now is not familiar, it's foundational. It's not a repeat, it's a reset. And that's why you can't cling to what was. You must be open to what is becoming. I have not called you to nostalgia. I've called you to newness. Stop trying to recognize me by what I did. Start recognizing me by what I'm doing. You're walking in uncharted territory, and that's by design. Because I'm building a future that can't be sustained by past assumptions. The people, the doors, the resources that were once your safety net, I'm replacing them with the supernatural. You don't need what you used to rely on. You need me. And I'm showing you that I alone can sustain what's ahead. Yes, you're disoriented. That's what happens when heaven overrides habit. That sense of being unfamiliar with your surroundings is not a sign of failure, it's evidence that you're finally walking by faith. You're not supposed to have a map right now. You're supposed to follow my movement. I'm going to lead you by peace, not predictability. By vision, not validation. You won't be able to trace the steps, but you will feel the pull. And that pull is me. It's my spirit navigating you through terrain that's been hidden until now. You see, I've closed the chapter that taught you survival. Now I'm opening the chapter that teaches you surrender. In the last season, you had to fight to keep your head above water. In this one, I'm asking you to walk on it. But walking on water requires you to let go of logic. It requires you to step even when the surface looks unstable. And it requires your focus not on the storm around you, but on my face in front of you. I'm not inviting you to analysis, I'm inviting you to intimacy. Because in this season, your relationship with me must lead everything. This is why the old tools don't work anymore. It's not because you're doing something wrong, it's because you're stepping into something new. You're not malfunctioning, you're being reprogrammed. The spiritual downloads I'm giving you now are incompatible with yesterday's mindset. That's why I'm allowing certain things to break, to malfunction, to exit. I'm not punishing you. I'm preserving the integrity of what I'm about to reveal through you. You can't carry this fresh oil in cracked vessels. I need your container to match the capacity of the promise. Let me remind you, when I do a new thing, I never require it to make sense first. I require it to make impact. I've sent you signs, not for confirmation alone, but for preparation. You've seen dreams shift, doors close, and unexpected reroutes, and all of them are prophetic cues that the past structure has expired. You cannot ask me to elevate you and then resist the platform I choose. This is not about comfort. This is about covenant. And I am faithful to finish what I start. So let go of trying to decode the future by dissecting the past. I am not limited to what you've seen. I'm not bound by your former experiences. What I'm orchestrating now will set a new precedent in your life. You won't have reference points, but you will have results. You won't have every answer, but you will have an undeniable anointing that follows you and confirms. This is the way, walk in it. And when people around you don't understand why you're moving different, speaking bolder, or walking away from what once seemed stable, don't explain yourself. You're not obeying a tradition. You're following a trumpet. This is a divine disruption, a supernatural shift. I'm not calling you to be familiar, I'm calling you to be faithful. What I'm doing now is beyond anything you've seen before because it's bigger than you've ever imagined. You keep asking me why clarity hasn't come yet. You're crying out for instructions, pleading for exact details, hoping for a blueprint that maps out what's next. But what you don't realize is this. If I gave you the full answer now, before your soul was ready to carry it, it would crush you instead of crown you. The weight of the answer must match the strength of your surrender. That's why I've taken my time, not because I'm withholding, but because I'm protecting what's sacred. I am not slow, I'm strategic. And this moment you're in is not about information, it's about formation. You want movement, but I want maturity. You desire a sign, but I desire a deeper seat in your heart. There's more at stake here than just your next step. This is about who you're becoming in the waiting. I see what you can't see. I see the cracks pride would create if I gave you too much too soon. I see how fear would distort my instructions if your spirit is still governed by outcomes. I'm not just answering your prayer, I'm shaping the one who prayed it. That's why the delay is divine. Your character is more valuable than your calendar. Your internal transformation must outpace your external transition. Because if the external changes before the internal is solidified, you'll misinterpret my hand. You'll take credit for what I did. Or worse, you'll abandon what I built because it didn't unfold according to your assumptions. That's not what I want for you. I want a faith that stands not because everything is easy, but because you've learned how to listen when things are quiet and trust when things are unclear. That's real strength. That's the kind of person I'm cultivating in this season. So if you feel like heaven is silent, if the next direction hasn't arrived, it's not rejection. It's refinement. It's me carving out space within you to hold the weight of the assignment that's on the way. I'm not ignoring your request. I'm answering it by expanding your capacity. What you call waiting is actually womb time. Something is being conceived in you, something that can't be right. It needs stillness. It needs reverence. It needs an atmosphere where intimacy with me becomes more important than the outcome you've been begging for. I know you're tempted to seek the fastest route. I know you want shortcuts that avoid the pain of pruning and the discomfort of uncertainty. But short is always short certain destiny. You can't microwave what I'm preparing. This is not fast food, it's sacred bread. I'm teaching you to feast on presence before provision, to lean into process before performance. You've asked to carry greatness, but greatness doesn't arrive as a gift. It arrives as a garden. And gardens take time. They must be watered with patience, weeded with truth, and guarded from premature exposure. This is why I'm quiet. I'm not far, I'm focused. Focused on you. Focused on rooting out anything in your soul that would compromise the purity of what I'm placing in your hands. You think I've paused the plan. But no, beloved. I'm pouring the foundation. I'm anchoring you in trust so that when the answer finally arrives, you won't idolize it, you'll steward it. You'll recognize it as a continuation, not a conclusion. And you'll be ready not just to carry it but to multiply it. I haven't forgotten your questions. I haven't dismissed your tears. Every sigh has reached me. Every sleepless night has been heard. And what you don't realize is that I've been answering all along, just not in the language you expected. I've been answering through the moments that tested your patience, through the relationships I removed, through the doors I didn't open. That was me speaking. That was me preparing. That was me drawing you out of shallow faith into a well that never runs dry. So don't grow weary. Don't assume I'm distant just because I'm not dramatic. I move with purpose, not panic. And the answer is coming not because you demanded it, but because you're now ready to receive it with reverence. This isn't a delay. This is divine positioning. Stay present. Stay surrendered. I'm not hiding it, I'm getting your heart ready to hold it. You're looking for me in the loudest places, expecting thunder, expecting fire, expecting grand displays. But I'm not always in the spectacle. Right now, I'm showing up differently, quietly, deliberately, with precision. My whisper carries weight. It may not shake the room, but it shifts eternity. And if you don't slow down, if you don't turn down the distractions, you'll miss the voice that's calling your name in the stillness. I am not competing for your attention. I am inviting you to lean in. You spent so much time running from one confirmation to the next, one opinion to another, one urgent demand after the other. But this next move is not going to come from public noise, it's coming from personal nearness. I've been waiting in the margins of your chaos. Not because I've given up on you, but because I'm bringing you back to the root of real connection. You've let the world get louder than my truth. That's why your vision feels foggy. That's why your peace has felt unstable. Because clarity doesn't come from volume. It comes from presence. And I'm calling you back to it. I am not a distant God. I'm closer than your breath, nearer than your thoughts. But my direction requires your stillness. The next instruction won't be shouted from the mountaintop, it will rise from the quiet place. From the moment you pause scrolling. From the moment you turn your face toward me before the world demands your attention again. From the silence between your questions. That's where I'm speaking. That's where I'm revealing the hidden steps I've prepared for you. You've been trained to respond to pressure, to urgency, to the frantic pace of performance. But my pace is different. My voice doesn't rush, it rests. My whisper doesn't demand, it draws. And it's drawing you now. I'm not asking you to run harder, I'm asking you to come closer. To sit. To listen. To notice. Because what I'm about to deposit in your spirit requires undivided attention. You cannot microwave this moment. You must slow cook in my presence to receive the fullness of what I'm speaking. You've prayed for discernment. You've asked for direction. But now I'm asking for something from you. Stillness. That's the posture where your ears open and your heart aligns. I know you feel like you'll fall behind if you stop moving. But hear me. The only place you fall behind is when you disconnect from my whisper. Every breakthrough you've asked for is tied to this sacred quietness. This isn't delay, it's depth. I'm not just trying to tell you what to do, I'm trying to tune you to who I am. So when the winds pick up again, you won't be shaken. You'll be steady because you'll know how to hear me above the noise. My whisper is not weak. It's holy. When I whisper, creation listens. When I whisper, fear retreats. When I whisper, healing moves in silence. This is not the absence of power, it's the presence of intimacy. I'm not far, I'm focused. And I'm focusing your heart so you can hear me clearly again. You've been looking for the booming answer, but I'm giving you a still revelation. I'm teaching you to find me in the hush of early morning, in the breath between battles, in the quiet nod that tells you, this is the way, keep walking. And yes, it may feel unfamiliar, because the world rewards volume, applause, and noise. But I reward obedience. I honor those who know how to silence their surroundings and sharpen their spiritual hearing. You are not missing out by slowing down, you're being invited into the frequency of heaven. And in that frequency, confusion dissolves. Worry weakens. Hope rises. You are not being ignored. You are being matured. I'm showing you how to follow me, not just when things are loud, but when the world goes quiet and all you have left is trust. So come away with me. Leave the noise for a moment. Unplug from the false urgency. I am whispering something that will redefine your future. Something that can only be heard when your soul is at rest. This is your signal. This is your moment. This is my whisper, respond to it. Because in the stillness, I'm not just speaking to you. I'm aligning your spirit with a move of God you didn't see coming, but you've been prepared for all along. You've looked around and seen others stepping into answers, while you're still surrounded by silence, and that silence has tried to convince you that you've somehow fallen behind. But let me be clear, delay is not denial. You haven't missed your purpose. You haven't ruined your destiny. You haven't lost your window. That voice whispering that it's too late is not mine. That pressure pushing you to compare your timeline with someone else's is not from me. I do not operate according to human clocks. I work by divine alignment. And while the enemy has tried to manipulate time to discourage you, I have used time to develop you. Right now, behind the scenes of what you can see, I am building something specifically for you. While you're doubting whether it will happen, I'm detailing how it will unfold. While you're wondering if I've forgotten you, I'm finalizing what only I can prepare. I'm not ignoring your hunger, I'm deepening it. I'm not overlooking your prayers, I'm perfecting the atmosphere where their answers will manifest. I'm not denying your growth, I'm watering your roots. Because when the time comes, what sprouts will not be small. It will not be subtle. It will be the kind of breakthrough that silences every doubt and glorifies every promise. This season may look invisible, but it's not insignificant. Every moment you spent being faithful when no one saw, every step of obedience when it didn't make sense, every tear you shed when you felt unseen, all of it has been collected. Not one act of trust had been wasted. Not one cry has gone unheard. What you thought was unnoticed has been sacred. I'm gathering it all. I'm layering each experience with eternal intention. And soon, what was hidden will be honored. What was underground will burst forth. And it will be clear that my hand was on it the whole time. You've been tricked into thinking that visibility equals value. But I don't need platforms to validate purpose. I don't need crowds to confirm calling. I build in the quiet. I birth in the hidden. I train in the wilderness. And what I'm doing in you right now is not for applause, it's for authority. I'm not raising you up just to be noticed. I'm raising you up to make impact. An impact doesn't come from writing. It comes from readiness. I don't anoint performers, I empower those who have learned to wait with humility. So lift your eyes from the clocks. Stop measuring your worth by how far you think you should be. I'm not rushing you to a finish line, I'm walking you through refinement. You are not late. You are not too far behind. You are not disqualified. What I started in you is still active. What I whispered over your life is still in motion. The very breath in your lungs is evidence that I still have use for you. And not just use, I have strategy. You're part of something far more eternal than you understand right now. That's why the waiting has been hard. Because the way to what I've planned is holy. I'm not here to scold you for doubting. I'm here to remind you of what's true. I'm the one who makes rivers in deserts. I'm the one who resurrects what was declared finite. I'm the one who keeps promises long after people stop believing. And I'm still working for you. So no, you haven't missed your sign. You haven't run out of chances. You haven't lost my favor. If anything, you're closer now than ever. The atmosphere is shifting. The pieces are aligning. The doors are being carved as you read these very words. Trust me, when the moment fully arrives, it won't feel like you're catching up. It will feel like you were always right on time. Because you are. I'm not bound by your calendar. I'm bound by my covenant with you. And I will not abandon what I authored. This is your moment, don't let doubt steal it. Don't let delay deceive you. Don't let fear speak louder than my voice. You haven't missed your moment. You're standing in it. And it's only just beginning. You've held on to certain things because they looked safe. You've built your hope around roles, routines, and relationships that once made you feel secure. But lately, it's been shifting. People are exiting without explanation. Resources are drying up. Old doors aren't opening like they used to. And your first instinct has been panic, grasping at what's slipping through your fingers. But I need you to hear me. I'm not taking from you to punish you. I'm clearing the space so I can show you what's been buried under the surface of your comfort. I'm uncovering your true capacity. Some things can only be discovered in the absence of what used to define you. As long as you're surrounded by what you lean on for identity, you'll keep deferring to it. But what I've placed inside you is not meant to stay dormant. It's not meant to remain boxed under your need for external approval or predictable conditions. So yes, I've allowed the stripping. Yes, I've permitted the shaking. Because there's more in you than what you settled for. And now it's time for it to rise. You've been asking why it feels like the familiar is falling apart, and it's because you're not meant to rebuild what I'm intentionally deconstructing. What you once called stability, I now call limitation. You grew. Spiritually, emotionally, prophetically, you stretched beyond where you started. But part of you wanted to stay in the shallow waters because it felt manageable. I'm not calling you to manage anymore. I'm calling you to step into mastery not by your strength, but through full surrender. That's why I'm removing scaffolding. That's why you feel exposed. It's because the foundation I'm building is unshakable, and it no longer needs external support. Don't confuse removal with rejection. This isn't abandonment. This is activation. I'm peeling back what you've outlived so you can finally function from fullness. You won't need validation from where you used to get it. You won't need provision from the same well that ran dry. You won't need recognition from voices that never saw your depth. Because now, I'm reintroducing you to what I designed you to be before the disappointments, before the detours, before the false identities clung to your heart. This is the season of realignment, and it begins with subtraction before multiplication. You thought the weight you were carrying was yours to endure forever. But some of it was never assigned by me. Some of it was picked up through fear, through trying to please others, through assuming it was your duty to fix what I never asked you to repair. And so I'm cutting it off. Not because you failed, but because I'm liberating you. I'm releasing you from obligations that kept you locked out of overflow. I'm making space for original purpose. The kind of purpose that doesn't beg to be seen but changes everything when it's finally allowed to breathe. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. Transformation always is. You might feel like you're walking alone right now, but you're not alone, you're just ahead. I often isolate before I elevate. I often interrupt before I increase. Because I want you to recognize what you carry isn't dependent on who claps for you or what doors approve of you. What I've given you came directly from my spirit. And when I breathe on it again, it will not resemble anything that came before. That's why I needed to strip away what no longer belongs so you wouldn't miss what's been waiting within you all along. Don't try to glue back the broken pieces. Don't mourn the loss of what I've gently removed. Mourn if you need to, but don't rebuild what I've allowed to collapse. Instead, lift your eyes. Turn inward where my voice echoes strongest. Look again at the vision you buried. Open your hands. Because now, I'm pouring something into you that needs room. And you're ready. You may not feel like it, but you are. Because the truth is, this moment was never about what you lost. It's always been about what I knew was inside of you waiting to emerge. You are not being emptied, you're being uncovered. And the strength, wisdom, and anointing that's rising in you now will sustain you for what's next. Trust the removal. Because in it, I'm revealing the unstoppable treasure I planted inside you long ago, and now it's finally your time to walk in it. I know the weight feels unfamiliar. I see you wrestling to understand why it feels like everything is stretching, shifting, pressing against the limits of your capacity. But listen to me closely. This pressure is not a sign that something is wrong. It's the evidence that I'm making something strong. You've asked me to prepare you for more, and now I'm answering through this tension. Not by adding ease, but by applying precision. Because the strength you need for what's coming can only be formed when pressure is allowed to shape your core. This isn't about crushing you, it's about constructing you from within. What you're standing in is sacred ground. It may not look holy, but I have wrapped purpose inside the pressure. Every resistance you're encountering is refining your discernment. Every delay is fine-tuning your patience. Every pushback is expanding your inner authority. You've prayed for power. You've cried out for clarity. You've longed for elevation. And now, here it is, not wrapped in the comfort you expected, but in the challenge you didn't see coming. I'm not ignoring you in this pressure. I'm using it to release something inside of you that you've never tapped into before. Think of how diamonds form, not in stillness, but through intensity. Think of how muscles grow, not in rest, but in resistance. This isn't meant to break you, child. It's meant to bless you with the kind of depth that no counterfeit process can replicate. I'm making your roots unshakable. I'm stretching your spiritual capacity to hold more, not just of responsibility, but of my presence. The oil that's coming from your life will be costly. It will flow from every moment you stayed faithful in private pain. This tension is not random. It's producing weight, not the kind that crushes, but the kind that carries glory. You're not weak for feeling overwhelmed. You're not faithless for needing rest. But understand this, the fact that you're still standing under this pressure is proof that my spirit is sustaining you. You may feel fragile, but you are not failing. What's happening inside of you is bigger than what's happening around you. And though you can't yet see the full picture, I'm arranging it piece by piece. Every clash, every closed door, every confrontation, I'm using them to shape you into a vessel that will not crack under the weight of your assignment. I know it's tempting to pull back, to look for an exit, to return to what felt easier. But if you run now, you'll miss the unveiling. You're closer to breakthrough than the pressure wants you to believe. The enemy senses what's on the horizon, and he's hoping this tension convinces you to stop prematurely. But don't. Stay the course. Not because it's easy, but because it's eternal. What I've placed before you is not ordinary. It's been sanctified by struggle. And when you emerge, you won't just be restored, you'll be refined. You don't have to enjoy this season, but you do need to endure it. Not alone, with me. Let me walk with you through this furnace. Let me hold you when the fire feels unbearable. You're not being asked to prove yourself. You're being asked to let me prove myself in you. My strength is being perfected in this exact pressure. Let it press you into prayer. Let it push you into presence. Let it pull you into dependence. Because when this part is over, what rises from your life will carry weight that shifts atmospheres. This is not the end of your story. It's the forging of your mantle. The depth you're gaining now will speak in rooms you haven't entered yet. This version of you that is being shaped through quiet pressure will walk with authority in places where others collapse. You're not just being prepared, you're being positioned. You're not just being tested, you're being trusted. And when the unveiling comes, it will be undeniable that the pressure was never about destruction. It was about release. Release of strength, of strategy, of supernatural resilience. So breathe. Not because the tension disappears, but because my hand is still holding you through it. You are in process. You are in my will. And the pressure is not permanent, but the transformation it births will last forever. You've asked me for signs, and I've given them. You've asked me for peace, and I've covered you. But now, I'm inviting you into something deeper. Not comfort, but confidence in me when comfort isn't present. You're in a moment that doesn't feel like home. The scenery looks different. The rhythm has shifted. Your routine has been disrupted. And it's to be with things of all. But child, hear me. This unfamiliar place is not a mistake. It's where faith becomes real. You've known me in the quiet. You've worshipped me in the safe. But now, I'm calling you to trust me in the unknown, and that's where your spiritual maturity begins. This isn't about losing your way. It's about finding out what you actually believe when the path disappears. It's about learning that faith doesn't require full understanding, only surrender. You're learning to walk on water now. Not because it feels steady, but because I've called you to it. You're discovering that my presence isn't confined to feelings or signs. It moves deeper. It steadies you when the evidence is missing and the answers are delayed. You're growing in ways that can't be measured by what's familiar. You're moving through layers of trust that break old fears and build unshakable courage. Yes, it feels lonely at times. That's because you stepped beyond the crowd. You've stepped into territory reserved for those who are willing to walk by faith and not by sight. And though it may seem like you're walking blindfolded, I assure you, you are walking led. Every step you've taken into this unfamiliar place has been seen, ordained, and sealed by me. I've been ahead of you. I'm beside you. I'm in every detail you're unsure about. And the discomfort is not meant to paralyze you. It's meant to produce focus. I'm sharpening your discernment. I'm refining your hearing. I'm bringing clarity to the places that used to confuse you. Faith doesn't thrive in formulas. It flourishes in mystery. And this season is your invitation to learn me outside of logic. You won't always get confirmation before you move. Sometimes, the confirmation is in the obedience itself. You're stepping into the kind of dependence that doesn't flinch when things change. You're discovering that I'm not just the God of open doors. I'm the God of wilderness roads, of sea crossings, of fire within the furnace revelations. And when you trust me here, you'll carry a testimony that cannot be imitated by those who have only walked on solid ground. You may feel like you've lost direction, but I'm actually giving you new vision. It's not about returning to what you knew. It's about stepping fully into what I've always planned. And the only way to access it is by trusting me beyond the edge of your understanding. I know it's not easy, but I'm not asking for ease, I'm asking for faith. Raw, surrendered, trembling faith. The kind that doesn't wait for perfect timing, but responds to divine prompting. A kind that doesn't shrink in transition but expands into new dimensions. The reason this moment feels fragile is because something holy is forming. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. You're not being thrown off course, you're being introduced to new coordinates. You ask to go deeper. You ask to grow. You ask to carry more. And this is my answer. Not a map, but me. I am your way. I am your next step. I am your direction. And I am not giving you a blueprint, because I'm training you to follow my breath. To hold on. Don't retreat just because you don't recognize the road. Don't doubt just because the signs look different. Faith was never about knowing what's next. It's always been about knowing who goes with you. And I am here. In the tension. In the quiet. In the questions. In the wild places where nothing makes sense. I am still the same. Still guiding. Still faithful. Still preparing you for what eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. This unfamiliar ground is not your defeat. Is your invitation. Walk forward. Not because you have all the answers, but because you have me, and I am always enough. There's a holy disruption taking place in your life, and though it seems like everything around you is being turned upside down, I need you to understand this is not chaos, it's divine calibration. I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable without reason. I'm awakening something you buried under years of survival, silence, and self-doubt. You've been walking in partial identity, functioning in a fraction of your capacity, because you were surrounded by structures that could no longer support your spiritual expansion. So now, I am intentionally shaking what can be shaken, not to hurt you, but to awaken you to what's always been inside you, waiting for the space to breathe. The things that used to work are no longer producing. The relationships that once felt right are now revealing their expiration. Even your own voice feels foreign because I'm stripping you from rehearsed faith and drawing you into raw encounter. You keep asking why the old rhythm doesn't feel right, and I say it's because I've started a new melody within you. I'm not harmonizing with your past. I'm composing something for your future, and it requires a clearing of noise. What you feel as tension is actually transformation in motion. The pressure is not punishment, it's proof that your spirit is stretching into fullness. What once covered you is now too small. The atmosphere around you is changing because your assignment has shifted. You cannot remain hidden in a space that refuses to acknowledge your growth. I've called you out not for applause, but for alignment. Your identity is no longer optional. You cannot blend in when you were designed to carry authority. I'm calling you out of roles that no longer reflect who I created you to be. You weren't meant to echo others, you were meant to embody revelation. and that requires me removing every label, lie, and limitation that tried to define you by where you've been, instead of where I'm taking you. You've spent too long waiting for someone to affirm what I already spoke over you. But now I'm silencing the outer voices so you can finally hear the inner roar of destiny. The gift you've downplayed, the anointing you've questioned, the dreams you've shelved, I'm resurrecting all of it. You're not going backward. This is not regression. It's recovery. I'm handing back what life tried to steal. I'm restoring what trauma tried to twist. And I'm placing you in a position where the only way forward is through full submission to the fire of refinement I've placed within you. This moment is not about who leaves. It's about what rises. And yes, some things are falling away, but don't chase what I've already released. If it was meant to stay, it would not have been removed in this sacred reshaping. I'm not taking things from you, I'm creating margin for you to operate in what you were actually born for. This isn't about starting over. It's about stepping up. You're not the same person who began this journey, and that's why everything around you is trembling. The external must reflect the internal. And I'm bringing alignment between who you truly are and what your surroundings allow you to become. Stop mourning the disruption, start stewarding the shift. Let the noise fade. Let the walls fall. Let the opinions lose their hold. Because I am raising your voice in this season, not to echo what others say, but to speak from a place of divine clarity. I'm not asking you to be loud, I'm asking you to be true. To live from the deep well of revelation I've been pouring in you through every silent storm and hidden battle. I've trusted you with this transition because what's on the other side requires someone who knows how to carry weight without losing wonder. This is the hour you finally see yourself as I do. No more shrinking to fit. No more adjusting to stay accepted. No more silencing your own call for the comfort of others. I'm not just calling you higher, I'm calling you forward. The shift around you is the sign that the season of waiting is over. Step into the space I've made. Walk with confidence, not because you understand it all, but because you belong here. The shaking was the sign. The stirring was confirmation. And now, the way is open because what I planted in you is ready to be revealed. You've spent so long adjusting, adapting, dimming, and apologizing for what made you different that you forgot you were never created to blend in, you were born to break through. This discomfort you feel, this stretching in your spirit, this tension that won't let you settle is not confusion, it's confirmation. I'm making it uncomfortable to shrink back. I am making it impossible for you to pretend that this old layer still fits. You don't belong in limitation anymore. You don't belong in environments that mislabel your growth as pride, your strength as rebellion, your boldness as disobedience. I've been nurturing something sacred in the quiet of your soul, and now, it must be revealed not in fragments, but in fullness. What once protected you is now restraining you. The shell of survival, the mindset of not enough, the environment of just hit by it no longer matches the maturity I've cultivated in you. You prayed for more. You asked for depth. You begged me to use you. And now I'm answering not with something you can hide in, but with a mantle that must be worn in the open. You're not who you were. You don't think the same. You don't dream the same. You don't feel peace where you once felt security, and that is divine. I'm not returning you to normal. I'm moving you into transformation. This is not regression. This is resurrection of the real you. I know it's terrifying. Letting go always is. Especially when the thing you're shedding is the thing you once thanked me for. But what helped you survive yesterday cannot hold the weight of what I'm giving you today. That cocoon is splitting open because the wings are formed. The process was real. The pain was real. The patience you showed in hidden places did not go unnoticed. But now, the instruction has changed. You're no longer being told to wait. You're being commanded to rise. Not half-heartedly, and not questioningly, boldly. Because you're not leaving safety, you're stepping into identity. And I am the one who defines you, not the roles that tried to contain you. Your silence is breaking. Your authority is awakening. You no longer have permission to operate beneath your calling just to keep the peace with people who refuse to grow. I didn't call you to conform, I called you to carry. I entrusted you with a voice, a fire, a truth that disturbs comfort zones and unseats counterfeits. And that fire is no longer content with flickering in the background. It's roaring now. Not for performance, not for applause, but for obedience. Because this generation doesn't need another imitation, it needs someone who dares to walk in full alignment, no matter the cost. Don't fear the weight of who you're becoming. Fear only what would happen if you kept delaying. There are lives waiting on your obedience. There are assignments attached to your yes. The hesitation you once lived in is no longer tolerable. This is a divine interruption, a holy demand, a shaking so strategic that you can't ignore it. It may not be loud on the outside, but your spirit knows something is shifting. The places you used to fit into now feel foreign. The language you once spoke now sounds too small. Even the prayers you're praying have changed. That's how you know the transformation is not cosmetic, it's complete. You did miss the moment. You are the moment. You are the evidence that grace rewrites stories. You are the proof that delay is not denial, and that destiny is not determined by who approves of you but by who sent you. I send you. And I'm sending you again this time, not to conform but to confront, not to blend but to bless, not to tiptoe but to walk with clarity and spiritual authority. I've waited until now to reveal this part of your purpose, because you're finally ready to handle it without losing yourself in the process. So stand up. Don't explain your growth. Don't apologize for your strength. Don't water down the vision. Step into it with courage, because I go with you. You are not being too much. You are finally being true. And I will protect what I've placed in you. You will not be forsaken for obeying. You will not be punished for becoming. I'm guarding your steps, opening the path, and placing fire in your mouth. You've outgrown the shell. Now fly. The clock didn't fail you. The silence wasn't a punishment. The postponements weren't denial. Every second I kept you waiting was sacred construction. While others moved, you remained still. While doors swung open for those around you, you stood at locked gates, wondering if I had forgotten the promise I whispered when no one else was watching. But what you didn't see, what I was carefully doing, was building a foundation in you so deep that when I released you, nothing would be able to shake you. You asked me to open the way. I will. But I refused to do it prematurely. Because you were never created to survive a moment, you were created to carry a movement. And movements don't start in noise. They start in stillness. Your delay was divine. Your detour was design. When you felt overlooked, I was overshadowing you. While others rushed to platforms, I was digging wells of wisdom within you. While some fought to be seen, I was teaching you how to see through me. I didn't slow you down to sabotage your future, I did it to protect your soul. Because I know what's coming. I see the terrain ahead. And I love you too much to let your gift take you where your character couldn't sustain you. So I worked in the unseen places. I healed what nobody knew was hurting. I rebuilt the parts of you that no one can celebrate but were essential for this next chapter. And now, the wait is over, not because you've earned it, but because you've been made ready for what I'm about to do. I'm not requiring you to perform. I'm requiring you to yield. The door that's opening doesn't need you to prove anything. It needs you to carry presence. I'm not sending you out with a script, I'm sending you out with oil. You won't have to push it to happen. You'll have to posture your heart to receive it. This is not hustle. This is harvest. And the harvest doesn't respond to striving. It responds to timing. And my timing is flawless. I waited until now because the people assigned to your voice weren't ready before. The atmosphere you're called to shift was still being prepared. The region you're meant to influence was still in formation. But now, everything is converging. This moment is not random, it's synchronized by heaven. So do not fear how it will come together. Your obedience is the blueprint. Your yes is the strategy. Your surrender is the signal. I am about to accelerate what looked impossible. I will redeem years in days. I will multiply what with love. I will shock you with how suddenly things turn. But you must keep your eyes on me, not the crowd, not the trend, not the applause. Don't be distracted by comparison. Don't be lured by shortcuts. This launch won't look like others, and that's intentional. Because you're not entering for attention, you're being released for impact. And that means you must remain anchored in the secret place, even when I bring you into public space. This time, you won't have to beg for resources. I will come. You won't have to manipulate outcomes. Favor will find you. You won't have to announce yourself. I will speak for you. The weight of what I'm releasing is too sacred for self-promotion. It must flow from purity, not pressure. And I have watched you walk through fire and not lose your tenderness. I've seen you worship through tears and not grow bitter. That posture has unlocked this moment. Not talent, not charisma, but heart. You let me prune you when it hurt. You let me break cycles that once made you feel safe. And now, the breaking is turning to birthing. So listen closely. Don't delay your response. The release is already in motion. Hesitation will cost you territory. Doubt will shrink the magnitude of what's available. You don't need more clarity. You need more courage. I have gone before you. I have cleared the opposition. The resistance was real, but it's been handled. The warfare was intense, but the victory is secured. Now all that remains is your movement. I'm holding open a door that no one can close, but it will not stay open forever. I need your yes to echo through every part of your life. Not a half step. Not a maybe. A full surrender. This is your launching moment, and I'm lifting you with my hand. Rise. Now. You've worn layers that were never yours to carry, identities given by pain, assignments born of pressure, and masks shaped by fear of rejection. But I never intended for you to stay wrapped in survival. I never asked you to perform perfection just to feel accepted. What I want is not your performance, I want your presence. And that means I'm stripping away the illusions that have kept you hidden from even yourself. This is not to shame you. This is not to embarrass you. This is to liberate you from everything that has dulled your fire and distorted your vision. Because the version of you I'm calling forth now can't carry yesterday's false identities into tomorrow's divine appointments. You tried to be what others expected. You molded yourself to fit rooms I never called you into. You spoke softly when I had given you a roar. You doubted yourself when my voice was clear. But I saw all of it. I saw you crying in secret because you didn't know how to be real and still be received. I saw you questioning whether who you are is too much, too intense, too different. I watched you shrink so others could feel bigger. I heard the words spoken over you, words that pierced you deeper than any weapon, and I saw you wear those wounds like labels. But child, I'm breaking those labels off now. I'm tearing the false garments from your shoulders. I'm bringing you back to the raw beauty of who I originally designed before pain began to rewrite the blueprint. This is not about making you new, it's about revealing the real you. The one who dared to dream before trauma dimmed the light. The one who heard me clearly before noise clouded your mind. The one who loved freely before betrayal made you afraid. I'm not asking for a modified version of your brokenness. I'm asking you to allow me to expose every hidden lie, every hidden fear, every hidden wound so I can heal them completely and release you wholly. You don't need to dress up your obedience. You don't need to polish your surrender. I don't need your strength, I need your authenticity. Come to me raw. Come trembling if you must. But come uncovered. Because I will not clothe who you pretend to be, I will only clothe who you truly are. This uncovering is uncomfortable. It will make you feel vulnerable. You'll feel the urge to reach for old habits, familiar roles, and safe scripts. But don't run backward. Don't hide in patterns I've already destroyed. What feels like nakedness is actually freedom. What feels like exposure is actually emergence. I'm peeling off everything that once protected your insecurity so I can dress you in garments of glory, not guilt. And when I clothe you, no one will be able to strip you again. When I affirm you, no accusation will stick. When I speak over you, no opinion will override it. This is the unveiling. This is the moment where shame dies and true identity lives. I am placing righteousness on your shoulders. I am adorning you with favor not earned by works but granted by grace. You will no longer have to hide behind busyness to feel valuable. You will no longer strive for approval like a starving soul. You are accepted not because you're impressive but because you're mine. I have seen your worst and still chosen to pour my best into you. And now, I need you to believe me more than you believe your wounds. You're not walking into this next chapter wrapped in religion, fear, or false humility. You're stepping in clothed in power, truth, and divine confidence. I'm redefining what it means to be bold, not loud for attention, but anchored in identity. I'm showing the world what it looks like when my child no longer performs, but abides. This is not about appearance. This is about alignment. You're not trying to look chosen, you are chosen. You're not trying to earn authority, you carry it. But you must release every false thing in order to wear what I prepared. So let it fall. Let the old garments hit the ground. Let the opinions fade. Let the guilt lose its grip. This is not your covering anymore. I'm dressing you in destiny now. I'm placing truth where lies once lived. And I'm sending you out, not with explanation, but with evidence that when I uncover, I also restore. That when I strip, I also anoint. And that when I remove the old, I always replace it with glory. Step forward, clothed in truth, and nothing will stop you. You can't bring the limitations of yesterday into the breakthrough of today. I'm preparing you for something that your former thinking could never carry. The way you use it to reason, the way you use it to fear, the way you use to delay decisions out of self-doubt, it can't go with you where I'm taking you. That's why I've allowed certain patterns to feel uncomfortable lately. That's why what used to soothe you now stirs a restlessness in you. Because I'm awakening your spirit to reject the limitations your mind once accepted. You prayed for change, and I didn't just give you new surroundings, I began rewiring your thoughts to see with faith instead of fear, to believe before proof, to move even when nothing made sense yet. This renewing process wasn't meant to make you more cautious, it was meant to make you dangerous to the darkness that used to silence you. The season ahead is not built for passivity. You won't be able to hesitate every time discomfort shows up. I've been reteaching you how to trust me more than your logic. I've been training you to obey without overthinking. Because elevation doesn't come through analysis, it comes through alignment. And this next part of your assignment will be mapped out in a neat plan. It will require walking when you can't see, speaking when it's unpopular, and believing before anything changes. That's why I had to remove certain dependencies. I had to pull you away from voices that used to shape your reality but never knew the size of your calling. Some of them meant well, but their vision was too small to hold what I placed inside of you. I am the one renewing you. This is not positive thinking, it's divine transformation. You'll begin to notice that things you once feared now look conquerable. You'll sense a boldness rising that you didn't conjure, it was imparted. That is me. That is the result of secret moments when you cried and still obeyed. That is the fruit of choosing my word when everything around you screamed otherwise. I've been planting strength under the surface while you thought you were standing still. But the strength I've grown isn't loud, it's unshakable. And now, I'm about to test what I built. Not to break you, but to prove you. The wrong mindset would sabotage this. If you approach this next door thinking like a servant trying to earn approval instead of a child walking in inheritance, you'll settle for less than what I've assigned. You're not begging your way through, you're claiming what's been waiting. And I need you to stop questioning if you're ready. If I'm opening the door, that means readiness has already been decided. I'm not asking you to be perfect, I'm asking you to be present. Present in the moment I've placed you. Present in the faith I've formed in you. Present in the mission I've entrusted to you. There will be moments you will feel unqualified, Good. That means you won't rely on your strength. There will be days you wonder if you heard me clearly. That's when you'll have to return to the last instruction I gave you and obey anyway. I never told you this journey would feel easy. I said I'd be with you in every step. And I am. I've never left your side. I've whispered peace in the night. I've warred for you in the spirit when you didn't even know it. And now, I'm standing at the edge of your next chapter saying, move forward like you believe me this time. The old mind will say wait. The renewed mind will say walk. So walk. Walk like you've been commissioned. Walk like my promise is real. Walk like the outcome is already mine to manage and yours to obey into. Refuse to consult your past for permission to enter your future. Stop letting memory dictate your movements. This is not that. That was the test, this is the appointment. That was the cocoon, this is the flight. And the wings you feel trembling are ready. I'm telling you they're ready. Not because you feel brave, but because I made you brave. I rewrote your mindset not to make you smarter, but to make you unshakable in truth. You're going to start seeing doors that used to intimidate you begin to open. Don't shrink. Don't second guess. Don't rehearse what to say to impress. Just enter. I've already prepared the room for your presence. I've already orchestrated the moments that matter. And when you walk in renewed, the room will shift not because of who you are, but because of who sent you. So remember this. You're not walking in as the old you trying to get free. You're walking in as the transformed you, declaring that freedom has already come. You've never been here before, and that's exactly why the fear is trying to whisper louder now. It's attempting to make you feel unfit for this next dimension. But I'm here to silence every accusing voice that says you're not enough. Listen closely, this new ground may be unfamiliar to you, but it is fully known to me. I walked it. I've marked it. I fought battles on it before you even knew it existed. And what you're about to inherit is not up for debate. This isn't a territory you stumbled into, it's a space I prepared for you in advance. Before you had the courage to pray for it, I already mapped out the victory in this place. That's why I've been urging you to trust me even when nothing made logical sense, because faith was the key, not understanding. You don't need all the answers right now. What you need is to believe that the ground under your feet has been anointed for breakthrough. And not just for you, but for those you will reach because of your obedience. This land, this assignment, this relationship, this mission will be a testimony to my power, not your expertise. So don't you dare walk in timid. Don't hesitate at the edge of this miracle wondering if you deserve it. I didn't bring you here for you to shrink. I led you here to stand fully, freely, and without apology. I placed you here to take back what was lost, to establish peace where there was chaos, to declare life in a region marked by defeat. And the moment your foot touched this territory in obedience, it began to respond to my authority flowing through you. You won't feel qualified, but that's not a requirement. You won't know what's next, but that's not your responsibility. Your only task is to move like you believe I'm still speaking. Like you trust that I never misplace my children. You must let go of the pressure to earn what I've already granted. This next level doesn't require striving, it demands agreement. Agreement with my word. Agreement with what I spoke over you. Agreement with the fact that you are here on divine assignment, not human coincidence. If you pause now to ask permission from people I never asked for input, you'll miss the timing I orchestrated with precision. The terrain is changing, yes, but so are you. The reason you feel unfamiliar in this moment is because you've never walked in this level of spiritual maturity before. You've never worn this kind of authority before. You've never experienced this magnitude of clarity. But it's not foreign to me. I shaped you for this long ago. Even the crushing seasons were part of the formation. You didn't know it then, but every hardship was a hammer forging endurance. Every closed door was a carving of deeper dependence. Every lonely night was me writing revelation into your bones. And now, that hidden preparation is about to echo in public demonstration. So don't retreat when the resistance rises. That's just confirmation, that you're not where you used to be. You're now in a space where your obedience threatens darkness, where your presence shifts the temperature, where your words carry weight that confronts what once controlled you. And because of that, you will feel the pressure, but the pressure doesn't mean you're off track. It means you're right where you need to be. The enemy only attacks what is advancing. So stand firm. Do not bow to confusion. Don't trade your confidence for comfort. There is no turning back now, not because you can't, but because forward is the only place where my glory is about to break open for you. I am releasing acceleration. Things will begin to move faster than you expected. Doors will swing open before you even knock. Provision will meet you mid-step. But you must move. I cannot bless motionless fear disguised as waiting. I bless the faith that moves while afraid. I honor the steps that shake but still land. So take the step. Walk into the unknown knowing it's already mine. Trust that I've gone before you, and what you feared might fall apart will actually fall into place. You are not trespassing, you're taking territory. You're not testing waters, you're releasing rivers. You're not wandering, you're walking in purpose. This ground is yours, not because of who you are, but because of who I am. And when I say it's yours, no power in hell can argue. So walk now. Head up, heart open, feet steady. Walk like the ground already knows your name because I already wrote it there. And I never write what I don't intend to fulfill. You've come to a threshold where your own strength, logic, and past methods no longer carry the weight they used to. You're noticing that the tools that worked in the last season are now ineffective. The strategies that brought results before now seem empty. That's not a mistake, it's a divine reset. I'm drawing you into a place where dependency is not weakness, it is warfare. This new ground demands total surrender, not partial planning. I'm not just shifting your direction, I'm shifting your posture. I'm leading you into a space where every victory will clearly bear my fingerprints, not yours. Where the fruit will be so undeniable. No one will credit coincidence, only covenant. There's something I want you to understand right now. Your power is not in the plan, it's in your position before me. When you kneel in secret, you rise in strength. When you lean on me instead of your intellect, I release insights that bypass natural understanding. I've seen the wrestle in your heart lately, the part of you that wants clarity before commitment. But the truth is, clarity doesn't produce faith. Obedience does. And I'm training you to follow my whispers even when the landscape looks blurry. Because the place I'm taking you won't be unlocked with logic, it will be accessed through trust so deep, it silences every fear without needing an explanation. This is your burning bush moment, child. Like Moses, you're being called into something that feels too big. You've questioned whether your voice is enough, whether your history disqualifies you, whether your lack of resources limits me. But just like I told him, I am not asking what you bring, I'm telling you I will be with you. My presence is your provision. My hand is your help. My word is your weapon. So I say go. Don't gather excuses, gather faith. Because if I needed your ability to fulfill this assignment, you would have been left behind a long time ago. But I chose you knowing every flaw, every weakness, every shortcoming, and still, I said, that one's mine. I'm stripping away every illusion of control, not to harm you but to heal you. You've leaned on things that looked safe but drained you slowly. You've carried burdens I never asked you to pick up, all because you were afraid to fall if you didn't have a backup plan. But in this moment, I'm removing the safety nets. I'm taking away the fallback options. Why? Because what I'm building with you won't come through fallback faith, it will come through fearless surrender. I'm not raising a survivor. I'm revealing a warrior. And warriors don't wait for proof, they march because of promise. Let me be the one who catches you this time. You don't need to orchestrate every outcome. You don't need to explain every step to those around you. Some won't understand. Some will criticize. Some will walk away. Let them. Their understanding was never the foundation I am. And if their presence must exit for my power to enter more fully, then trust me with the subtraction. I'm not just doing addition, I'm doing refinement. The crowd is thinning not because you failed, but because your calling is getting sharper. And not everyone can walk with you where I'm about to take you. You will begin to feel a divine pressure that pushes you toward the unknown. That's not belayment, it's propulsion. It's me stirring the waters so you won't stay stuck. You'll sense a holy dissatisfaction with staying still. That's my spirit drawing you out of comfort and into consecration. This is not a small moment. This is a spiritual earthquake that will collapse every false structure you depended on, just so I can rebuild you on bedrock truth. I'm not after your convenience, I'm after your calling. And calling will always cost more than comfort, but it will yield glory beyond your imagination. So breathe deep, even if the air feels thin. Take the step, even if your legs shake. Speak what I've given you, even if your voice quivers. Because on the other side of this reliance is a realm of authority you've never known. I will not let you fall. I will not abandon you mid-step. I will not watch you break, I will break every barrier around you instead. But first, I must bring you to the end of you. That's where I begin. That's where miracles multiply. That's where signs are birthed not through certainty, but through surrendered chaos. And in that place, you'll finally see what happens when you let go of control and grab hold of me completely. You've been wondering why certain doors closed suddenly, why specific relationships faded, and why some opportunities you prayed for didn't last long enough to make sense. But child, that wasn't rejection, it was redirection. I allowed those removals not as punishment, but as protection. Because what you were clinging to was never designed to sustain the magnitude of what I'm calling you into. The vision I gave you is too weighty to be built on shaky alliances and half-hearted yesies. I had to clear the atmosphere around you. I had to silence the voices that were only present when it benefited them. Because in this season, your clarity is more important than their company. Compromise was never loud. So, it whispers, just a little delay is okay, or this isn't that serious. But those small hesitations become habits, and habits become prisons. I had to confront what you tolerated in silence. I had to disturb your peace where you got comfortable with mediocrity dressed in spiritual language. That's why you've been feeling a holy agitation, because I've been purging the influence that tried to dilute your fire. You thought you were losing your rhythm, but what I was really doing was rewiring your rhythm to match the cadence of your purpose. And now that I've removed what no longer belongs, I'm awakening what's always been inside you but couldn't breathe beneath the weight of distractions. Do you feel that stirring? That pressure that keeps you up at night? That's not anxiety, it's your assignment refusing to sleep any longer. The enemy wants to call it restlessness, but I call it revelation. You're not broken, you're breaking through. You're finally shedding the skin of approval, the shell of performance, the armor of perfectionism that kept you trapped in the cycle of trying to be who others needed instead of becoming who I created. And now, in the stillness, in the absence of noise, you're beginning to see with new eyes. You're beginning to hear me clearly again, not because I was silent before, but because you finally turned down everything else. I want to speak something that will cut through the fog. You were not made to fit in. You were made to forge paths. That's why fitting in always felt like shrinking. That's why pretending to be okay around shallow circles felt exhausting. You carry oil on your life. You've been set apart, not sidelined. And now, I'm reigniting the drive that religion tried to suppress. I'm reminding you of the dream that got buried under disappointment. I'm resurrecting the faith that once moved mountains before fear convinced you to build fences around your heart. No more hiding behind maybe later. No more sitting on what I told you to build. No more asking for confirmations when you already received the command. The season of delay is over, not because time ran out, but because purpose is now demanding a response. What I placed inside of you is calling louder than the lies ever could. And I will not let you settle. I love you too much to leave you comfortable in compromise. I am your refining fire. I am your jealous protector. I am your relentless guide. And I will shake everything that keeps you from becoming the fullness of what I spoke over you. This is a wake-up call, not a warning of doom but a declaration of destiny. What I've started in you cannot be completed while you entertain what drains your devotion. You're not being called to balance light and shadow. You're being called to live fully lit. I am not asking for perfection, I am inviting you to purity. Purity of pursuit. Purity of intention. Purity of alignment. Because what's next won't be about performance, it will be about power. And power flows where obedience leads. So brace yourself. Not for battle, but for breakthrough. Everything that was removed was necessary. Everything that remains is ready. And what I'm building with you now will not resemble anything you've known. This isn't a rebuild, it's a rebirth. Step into it boldly. Embrace the unfamiliar with unwavering trust. And when your thoughts try to retreat into fear, remind them who called you. Remind them who sustained you. Remind them that you are not being sent forward to survive, you are being sent to shift atmospheres in my name. You've been watching the clock, calculating how much more time it will take before the promises come to pass. You've been counting delays, measuring progress in human terms, and asking me why it seems like others are advancing faster. But child, time obeys me. Destiny does not move by deadlines, it responds to divine alignment. And what I'm doing right now is not a continuation of your pace, it's a divine interruption of your process to release something supernatural. You thought this would take years, but I'm collapsing seasons into moments. I'm moving with force now because what I've declared over you cannot wait for perfect conditions. It must manifest now. This is the moment I override the laws of your understanding. Where things that looked like they were far off will now rush into view. You won't have time to overanalyze it. You won't have the luxury of preparing in your usual way. You'll be required to trust me quickly, to move without hesitation, and to walk into places that previously denied you because I've turned the page. What was once locked is now opening, not because you've earned it, but because I've scheduled it. Your name is being mentioned in rooms where your feet haven't stepped yet. Your prayers have already walked into places before your body could catch up. And now, it's time for the physical to match the spiritual movement that's been happening behind the scenes. I'm not asking if you're ready, I'm declaring that you are. I'm not suggesting that you should hope, I'm commanding that you prepare. Because this release won't wait for convenience. This shift won't be postponed until you feel qualified. I'm moving because the moment is pregnant with purpose. I'm acting because the window is open now. And you will either respond with obedience or remain stuck in a cycle I never designed for you. This is not the time to play it safe. This is not the time to weigh every outcome. This is the hour to say yes before you see the whole staircase, because the step you take will unlock what's been waiting for activation. You've waited long enough. But the truth is, while you thought you were waiting on me, I was waiting for the version of you that's no longer afraid to leap. I was waiting for the version of you that doesn't second-guess my voice. I was waiting for the one who doesn't shrink around giants but speaks with the conviction of someone who's seen my hand move in impossible places. And now you've arrived. Your heart hath been softened. Your spirit has been stretched. Your discernment has been sharpened through fire, through silence, through the agony of delay. And now you are positioned for swift movement. Acceleration does not mean chaos. It means alignment. It means I'm bringing together people, resources, favor, and strategy and divine timing. It means what felt scattered is suddenly gathering. What felt uncertain is becoming undeniable. And the doors that once seemed sealed are opening not by force but by favor. I'm doing this because you trusted me in the dark. You didn't quit when you had every reason to. You praised me when you had no proof. You kept walking when your legs shook. And that kind of faith does not go unnoticed in my kingdom. That kind of endurance demands a reward. But don't be surprised when others question how fast it's happening. Don't be thrown off when they try to make sense of the momentum. What I do for you in this hour won't follow natural rules, it will be marked by my supernatural hand. And those who watched you struggle will now watch you soar, not because of your strength, but because of your surrender. And every step you take will testify that I am the God who redeems time, who restores joy, and who resurrects dreams that once looked dead. So clear your schedule. Clear your mind. Clear your expectations. What I'm releasing into your life will exceed everything you planned. It won't fit into the structure of your last season. It won't be manageable in your own strength. But it will be right. It will be holy. It will be fruitful. And it will be fast. So when I say move, don't hesitate. Don't ask for signs when I've already given you this one. You're not running out of time, you're stepping into divine speed. This isn't a detour. This is my intervention. And when I accelerate something, nothing and no one can slow it down. You've been asking me, why can't I see everything clearly? Why do I feel like I'm only getting pieces at a time? The reason is simple but holy. Clarity in excess can become control, and control can kill the wonder that keeps you dependent on me. I haven't shown you the entire landscape because I'm leading you into a territory that must be walked by trust, not sight. There are elements of this journey that must remain hidden for now, because if I revealed it all, your human nature would try to map a route I never planned. I'm not calling you to build according to logic, I'm forming something by faith, and faith requires mystery. You're not missing anything. You're being guarded. I know the weight of your heart. I know the pressure you feel when others expect answers you don't yet have. But let me remind you, I didn't call you to be their explanation. I called you to be my expression. And that means you won't always have words for what I'm doing. You won't always be able to define the shift. Because what I'm unfolding is sacred. It's not meant to be dissected, it's meant to be experienced. Some of the holiest things I've ever done in the lives of my children were done in the quiet, in the unknown, in the space where they had no map, just my voice. This unfamiliar space is not a mistake. It's a sanctuary. I've drawn you away from what was predictable because I'm teaching you how to move with me in sensitivity, not strategy. There's nothing wrong with planning, but plans cannot replace presence. And many are stuck right now because they've idolized blueprints instead of obeying my breath. But you, child, I'm setting apart. I'm teaching you how to listen in the stillness, how to discern in the silence, how to follow even when the path disappears beneath your feet. Because I don't want you to arrive where you're going full of achievement but void of anointing. You felt blind in some areas lately, but blindness in the natural often awakens deeper spiritual senses. I'm sharpening your ears. I'm training your spirit to respond to nuances that others ignore. You're not behind, you're being rebuilt. You're not disqualified, you're being refined. And as I've hidden certain pieces, I've done it to protect you from moving ahead of me. Because even though you're ready emotionally, there are elements around you that I'm still preparing. The timing must be perfect. And when it is, you will just walk into the fulfillment. You will walk in with authority, clarity, and spiritual maturity that couldn't have come from shortcuts. There's beauty in the blind steps. Every one of them increases your dependency. Every uncertain turn deepens your awareness of me. And through it all, I'm not just getting you to a destination, I'm revealing myself in dimensions you've never known. I'm not just fulfilling promises, I'm deepening our relationship. I'm not just giving you answers, I'm becoming your anchor. And anchors are only necessary when the waves rise, when the wind shakes, when the shore is out of sight. You've been looking for signs, but I've been asking for surrender. The space you're walking in is sacred ground. Tread slowly. Tread reverently. Not with fear, but with a heart that says, Lord, I trust you even when I don't understand. That posture is where power flows. That humility is where heaven opens. And as you keep moving, even without the full view, you'll notice something happening. You'll begin to carry a confidence that's not built on circumstances but on communion. That's what I wanted all along. Not a version of you that figured everything out, but one who knew who to follow no matter what. So if you feel like you're in the fog, stay calm. I'm here. If others pressure you for progress reports, stay focused. They didn't call you, I did. If your thoughts rush ahead and try to fill in the blanks, slow them down. I'm not done writing. And what I'm writing will not need editing because it will be authored by my spirit. Keep moving forward, even if your steps feel slow. Because this sacred season of walking by faith, not by sight, will shape you into someone who doesn't just chase light but becomes light wherever you go. Amen.